going up. You can't take from us. We ain't slowing up. Look what life gave us. Always going up. You can't take from us. We ain't slowing up. Look what life gave us.
What's poppin'? What's poppin'?
Yo, what's good?
We back at it again.
Right? Welcome to another episode of the Free Your Mind podcast. I am your co-host, and I go by the name of Woon, and I'm all about balance like a mop and a broom.
Okay. I thought you was coming with another one. I thought you was pulling out another one.
Oh, did I not? I already said that one?
Yeah, you said the mop and the broom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Was that the original one? No. Yeah. Hey, yo, I'm another co-host by the name of Selfmade. Gotta tap in with self to know thyself always. Yeah, man, we back. We missed last week. We missed y'all last week. Woon. It's all Woon fault. I'm gonna blame. No, I'm just playing.
Whoa! I was gonna say, hey, part of that shit was I had shit to do.
That's just how shit be. You know what I mean? Like, we got lives too. You know what I'm saying? So it be like that. But we missed y'all though. You know what I'm saying? Peace and shout out to the chat. Yeah, man, what's up with you, bro?
Man, I'm chilling, man. You know, that's a lot of shit. You know, I'm just getting back to Vegas and shit after being in Cali for like a fucking week. Had a great time out there. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, I shot the video for my upcoming song called Gotta Had a Drip. You feel me? Shout out to the boy Emo for tapping in and shooting that G thing. Such a late notice. Shout out to the boy Prime Tracks on the beat. Shout out to Bub and Colt over there at Skylit Studios. You know what I mean? For letting me come knock some shit out on a late notice. Like, you know what I mean? Because I literally got there kind of like pre-recorded the song, but then recorded. Then the next day I recorded it. Then the next day I went to shout out to Elevated Studios and shit too. You know what I mean, for jugging a nigga on a whoopie wop. But yeah, it was back to back shit. Like, you know what I mean? And then, you know, so I was working when I was out there, but I got an opportunity to tap in with people and shit. So
yeah, that was cool.
I'm back home, back in Vegas. You know, everything's good, man. So, you know, it's good. What's good with you though, bro? What's popping?
Oh shit, man. I'm over here reading the comments and shit. Nah, man.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
You know, what's up with Valley Uno in the building? But yeah, nah, man, you know, same old same today, you know, just kind of crazy and shit, at least up until right now. I had the young life in the swimming classes and stuff. So yeah, nah, just was with the family.
Okay, yeah, no, I can dig it. I can definitely dig it. So Snag.
Topic.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna touch. You can touch it real quick though.
The topic, narcissists versus empaths. I heard you and Lala had a build about this earlier.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely, you know what I'm saying, interested to see, you know, just the whole conversation about that, because this is definitely you know, you hear narcissist and narcissistic ways and all this stuff, you know what I mean? Like, you hear about it all the time, but like having it being talked about like on platforms and stuff, I haven't really seen too many of it, you know what I mean?
Hey, it's funny now that you say that, we finna crack that bitch open then. How about that?
Right. Yeah, that's exactly what we finna do.
Definitely.
And it's cool though.
Before we get into it, y'all know
sponsorship.
we finna get sponsored. Yeah, we gonna get sponsored by Bel Air. sooner than later.
You gotta send them all these clips.
I'm gonna send them everything. Even if I had to put my face on somebody else, shit, like, nigga, we did this too. But no, so yeah, the narcissists versus the empaths. And I kind of wanted to put like an undertone to that, in terms of is it like who would be, the most toxic versus, you know what I mean? So, but I just left it. I just wanted to leave it open just so we can have just an open discussion about it. Like, you know what I mean? I didn't want to put anything on anybody.
Yeah. So what do y'all think? Like, how do you feel about the narcissist versus empaths? How you guys going about it?
Well, Woon and I kind of went in on it starting early. I don't even know how that conversation got going, but I mean, number one, we got to look at it as, is it a like a characteristic of oneself, or is it just who you are? Are you born with it? Do you develop it? How do you know that you're an empath versus a narcissist? I think we got to kind of start like all the way back as far as, educating, like, what is a narcissist? What is an empath? Because a lot of people don't know. They hear these terms. Excuse me, you guys, I'm kind of sick. And they start hearing these terms, and a lot of people can't identify it or, even understand what they actually are. Woon, do you want to describe or define what a narcissist is? Or
See, wait, before we even go in, I had to look this shit up because I'm like, I heard narcissist. You know what I'm saying? Like, you hear the word all the time, but people describe it in different ways. You know what I mean? So it's like, all right, does it mean this or does it mean that? And then I look it up, and I see there's like, different perceptions of what it is. So
right.
Yeah, like, how could you even put a stamp to say like, yep, this is what a narcissist is, when they have a whole bunch of different, quote unquote definitions of what it can be.
Definitely. And just just to because I was gonna go like more on the empathy side, right? And when I used to hear the word empathy, it automatically makes me think about sympathy. So I used to think that empaths is just like on some sucker nigga type shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yo, empath ass nigga. Like, hold on, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what is that? Like, don't that shit? Am I bugging?
Right.
Like, so
I'll beat your ass.
I'll beat your ass. Like, that shit. Yeah. But no, so until just like you have to look it up, until I got that understanding of what an empath was, then then I was kind of like, well, shit, I might have those characteristics, like, you know what I mean? Some real shit, like, so.
But can I even stop you right there though a little bit? Because even if we look at narcissistic behavior or narcissistic personality disorders, we fit some of the same criteria as well. So it's kind of like, do we have that blend of both?
Right.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to kind of throw that out there.
No, you good, because remember I said that earlier. Like, I would have to be both.
Yeah.
And it comes from just going into what a narcissist would be labeled as. Like, even in that context, it's just like a narcissist. Like, when you hear motherfuckers say that, then I have to look this shit up, because that shit just sounds like some deceptive ass nigga. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yo, narcissist ass nigga. Then you like, all right, bro. So what you really trying to say? Like, you know what I mean? So with that, just like you said, and I'm glad that you said kind of like a disorder, right? Because if you're in an imbalance of energy, then you will be out of order naturally anyway. Right. So I think that the narcissist, I'm just to kind of like put a nutshell on the definition, it would be one who doesn't love enough. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they underlove, or they present the inability to love. Like, you know what I mean? Either being self or either being somebody that's outside of self. As where an empath, they would have the ability to love, but they overlove. Like, you know what I mean? And it would seem like the overloving would not allow them to give love to themselves. Like, you know what I mean? So like, it's like they're tit for tat. Like, you know what I mean? On that type of time.
Yeah, I
So,
can see that.
So that's why I was saying, like, you know, like, I wanted to put it in a situation to where, like, who would be the most toxic in that situation? Like, you know what I mean?
Honestly, I'm gonna interject here. The empaths are kind of like the food for narcissists. You know, listening to you guys have talked about, you know, different perceptions of the definition. One of my parents, my mother has narcissistic personality disorder. And I'm just going to tell you right now, like, they eat empaths up and spit them right back out. But I definitely feel like you guys are right in the sense that they need each other. It's kind of like a codependent kind of dance going on. You know what I'm saying? Between the two types of personalities. So just thought I'd let y'all know that, you know.
I know that I agree with that, but I know that
Hell
when we
yeah.
were talking at some point, I think earlier in the week, and I mean, I really like the way you worded it because you were like, you know, you're an empath, right? And I said, of course, I'll talk. And what your next words out of your mouth was, you know, I don't want to say it in a negative way, but you know, you're like a magnet to narcissists.
Narcissist. That's a
Yeah,
fact.
It
it's true.
holds their value. The narcissistic personality disorder involves a pattern of self-centered, arrogant thinking and behavior, a lack of empathy and consideration for other people, as well as an excessive need for admiration.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we go in and we look at the empath, and there's so many different aspects to the empath, but typically it's just having that ability to understand and share the feelings of another. Now we have different types of empaths. We have empaths of nature. We have empaths of places. We have empaths of
Mm-hmm.
people, feelings. So there's so many different levels, just as there are as many different levels of narcissistic personality, narcissistic traits, narcissistic characteristics.
Mm-hmm.
I believe, and I kind of want to wait until we get a little bit deeper into it, but I believe that we're both, the narcissist as well as the empath, are equally toxic in their own way.
And see,
Yeah.
I was about to speak to that, and I'm gonna ask this question real quick. This is for everybody or whoever has the I guess the technical definition of what an empath would be, because we're associating the narcissist with the disorder, right? So
Mm-hmm.
would that be the same thing for the empath, or are we letting them niggas get away with some shit?
I to be 100% honest, I would say that being empathetic, and I know this doesn't sound really bad, I think having that level of being empathetic like that can be considered a disorder, because it's like you're now
Yeah.
at this point you're putting everybody else's needs around you first.
Yeah.
You're putting
Yep.
people's happiness first. You're putting people's, you know what I mean? You're valuing them over self. Not saying you don't love self, but you're so focused on, making people around you comfortable or making those around you not hurt. And that's another aspect of the empath. We're naturally nurturers. We want to fix what's broken, and that's why the broken are naturally attracted to us. So we're putting those people's needs before ourself, which can be a disorder of not loving oneself or feeling,
Yeah.
we have an unworthiness within self. So it's manifested in trying to fix others because we can't fix ourselves. Not saying that we don't think we're broken or we think we are, but we're not even looking at us because we're so focused on what's around us and trying to heal that instead of healing ourselves. I think that if we
Yeah.
were to heal ourselves in that manner, that we wouldn't be seeking that validation outwards of trying to fix whatever it is around us.
Now,
Yeah, I
can you?
agree with you. I feel like I feel like empaths, where their toxicity comes in is with codependency. You know what I mean? It's like they lean on so much of everybody needing them that if people didn't need them, I don't really think they'd know what to do. Empaths wouldn't really know what to do. You know what I'm saying? Because their goal, not their goal, but their existence is to be needed and to,
Feel.
yeah, exactly.
Feel.
So I think you're right on about that. Honestly, I do.
Just as the
that was
feel of the
hard.
narcissist is, you know what I'm saying, to get that validation and to the narcissist feed off of devaluing other people, and the empath feeds off of building the narcissist up. So, I mean, there's
Right?
there's no balance. I mean, it balances so much that it's unbalanced, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. That makes perfect sense.
Would it be safe to say that the narcissistic aspect is kind of like the ego?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, definitely ego based for sure. Yeah, I'd say that.
And there's a constant need and the constant strive and the constant hunger to feed one's ego.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And look outwards rather than self-reflect, because that self-reflection is really hard to do. So it's like, how do you feed your ego? By creating this persona that it's supposed to be rather than what it actually is. You know what I mean? So you're constantly deflecting and deflecting.
So then when you do have self-love, what does it change? Like because we talking about it being like both, or like, for instance, we're both, empath and narcissistic or whatever. So when you have that self-love, does it change from being like one-sided to encompassing both of them?
That's funny because I laughed at the exact same time Woon did, because
that
was like literally that was
earlier.
literally the question that he and I kept going back and forth with. It's like, and that, I don't know, I'm hoping that somebody has the answer because I'm sick of this shit, right? But
Seriously.
not that I don't love myself, you know what I mean? I have a deep love for myself. But at the same time, you know what I mean? What void are we trying to fill from either shoes, the empath or the narcissist path? What void is it that we're out there trying to fill that we can't give to ourselves? And that was literally my question is, how do we create that space within ourselves so that we're not trying to validate somebody else or tear somebody else down, depending on which side of the scale you fall in?
Yeah. It's like the yin and yang, man. I swear. Them like those two personalities is like, please stay away from each other. Like, no, we're gonna buddy right up. No, don't do it. Don't do it. No, I think you're right though. I think that empathy definitely can be toxic because of the codependency. It's like like I said, you need to be needed, and then like with the narcissist, like they need the admiration and like the like basically everybody looking at them like they've got it all and they're fine and perfect and nothing's going wrong. And it's funny too, because I feel like parents who have got this disorder, who've actually got like the disorder, I feel like their kids end up being empaths. And then it's like, and then when that happens, then you gravitate as you get older towards other narcissists, because that's what you're used to from living at home, and it's like, oh man, we got this big old hamster wheel going on. Can we just hop off the carousel? Like, what's going on? So I feel like with empathy, it always was presented to everybody definition wise as a positive term. But while I think you're right, I've been told I'm an empath too, but I have to own my shit where I've been codependent. I've needed to feel needed, and it's like, that's not healthy. You know what I mean? That's not healthy for us. It takes from our cup. Yeah, it does, and I really appreciate you like being brave enough to say that, because a lot of empaths, I feel like, don't want to face that music. Like,
we
got our toxic bullshit too.
Yeah, we want the glory part of it. We want the, we want the, oh yeah, I'm a healer. I can help. I can feel your pain. But we don't want to speak about the fact that we'll sit in the room and cry because of, X, Y, and Z, or, we're sad, we're depressed, we're lonely. And we feel like nobody can relate. Like nobody wants to talk about that part, and that part hurts. That's, they say that when you ascend or you start to, move up, that people can't go to certain levels with you. At a certain point of being an empath, you're literally facing that entire level by yourself. And it doesn't matter if you have somebody that's there or, not, but nobody knows those feelings that you have within yourself. So it is a very hard pill to swallow. As Woon and I were kind of going back and forth, when we stopped going back and forth this morning, I actually looked up the empath, turning into the narcissist versus the narcissist turning into the empath. Can they be interchangeable?
That's a good one.
From what I looked at, it said that the empath can pick up narcissistic ways and become the narcissist, but it's very hard to reverse it for the narcissist to turn into the empath. They don't, I'm not saying that they don't quote me on this, you guys. This is just off of some stuff that I was reading, that they are unable to pick up those feeling and loving qualities that the empaths feel that would make them become empathetic.
No, I think you're dead on with that, Lala. Yeah, I've never seen it. I've seen empaths, like you said, I've observed throughout my life, like empaths picking up the narcissism from being, burned too much. But again, it's like we're choosing to be in that situation where we're being codependent, we're feeding that codependency. I feel like you're right, though. Like, narcissists can't make the flip back into an empathetic person, but the empathetic person, hell yeah. I mean, it can get kind of far down the rabbit hole. I've seen it's like, damn, you used to be, like really understanding and patient with people, and now you just don't care about nobody but yourself. You know what I mean? Like, what happened here? So I definitely feel like you're right about that. I just, out of observation, I don't know scientifically if they would agree with this, but like, who cares about that? I mean, it's all about like the human experience, and I personally have seen that throughout my lifetime, like exactly as you just said.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's kind of like what you said earlier, Alzea, and I'm gonna call you Alizé for the rest of the show. I'm gonna just let you know that.
Oh my gosh! You call me that? Reach to this phone and smack you. My name is Italian. I wasn't named after no goddamn liquor. I've been fighting about this little kid. Italian, no. I mean, I love me some Tupac, but damn.
Right?
This might be killing me, man. Shit.
But it's kind of like what you said about, like, as a kid that that people deal with that. So just going back to what Laura just said about can the roles be reversed? And I think that there's a certain level of childhood trauma that's attached to these behaviors. So I think that if they're able to, and when I say they, I mean if there's an empath and a narcissist in a relationship that's healthy, and they're able to get what they're trying to get, right? Beyond what they're trying to feed, but actually get what they actually need and shit. I think that there would be a level of going to that dark place, of going to that childhood trauma, or doing the shadow work in order to alleviate them from that. And I think that at that point in time, they would at least understand each other. I'm not saying
it balances itself out.
Exactly.
I like that, LaJuan. Like, seriously, because it's like, if y'all both okay with the feeding going back and forth, I mean, who's to say it ain't finna work?
Right.
Okay, but can I say something with that right now? Okay, here's the breakdown of the narcissist, and how they prey on the empath. What's the first thing they do? A narcissist will love bomb the shit out of you. I don't know if y'all are familiar with that term.
Yes, girl.
You need to get familiar with the term, because they will literally make you high when you first start dating them or being around them.
Girl.
It's like
I
they
swear.
show and exhibit that they know how to love. They, you know what I mean? They give that persona in that facade that they know how to love. And then when they have you, they sink their claws in and all that shit stops. So it's like they chew you up and shit, right? I'm telling you, if you don't know, what'd you say?
No, I said, got that motherfucker.
Yeah, got him.
Come here.
Like on Mortal Kombat, finish him.
Right.
In all seriousness, you know what I mean? There is a it's a facade that they put on. So it's like, you obviously aren't incapable of love. This is just that I don't know where the disconnect comes in, because you're capable of giving that feeling, right? So when it stops, you know what I mean? The empath is already stuck. You know what I mean? They're in there, they love it, they're here. Now when that love bomb stops, the empath is sitting there self-doubting, wondering, questioning self-worth. What could I have done better? How come they don't love me? Why don't they? I overloved you, you bitch. Like, you know, they can't, you know what I mean? Because now we're looking for that high that the narcissist is no longer willing to give. So where it's not going to balance. It sounds good, but it's not going to balance because the narcissist is already on to their next victim because they're energy vampires. So I'm going to go ahead and put that out there right now. They feed off of other people's energy. They feed on the need to be constantly adored and told that they're this and this and this. But the empath is still sitting in there, you know what I mean, with their balls to the walls, loving it, trying to hold on to every single string and make it work. And it's
but I think what Woon was saying, at least from what I was hearing, was like if they're both working on it or both working on themselves, you know, really ultimately, you know what I mean? Like if you're a narcissist and you truly are trying to change that and like really trying to work on your narcissism, you know what I mean, with the empath and vice versa, then that's what I was talking about as far as like the balancing out. But are you saying that a narcissist will always be a narcissist? That's pretty much what you were saying,
Absolutely.
right?
Yes, Lala's very right.
Talk about that really quick, Selfmade, because one of the traits that are associated with narcissism is number one, devaluing the opinion and you know what I mean, the ideas and the emotions and the feelings of other people. So they will not get to the point that they're going to work on themselves because they don't see a problem with themselves.
Exactly.
So they won't even recognize that it's an issue.
It's not me, it's y'all.
Yeah.
Exactly
I'm not toxic. They toxic.
Right.
So they won't even get to that point where there's any like self-reconciliation because they don't recognize it as being a problem, and you're not going to fix something that's not broken, right?
See, I think equally, and again, we put the empaths on such in this situation on a pedestal, right? But empaths equally are energy vampires because they have that need to feel needed and shit too.
Yes, you're very right.
So when it comes down to their actual behavior, like, you know what I mean? So now it's just like, okay, and you said something about the narcissist not being able to love or put love on display. So then we would have to ask, is the empath only putting on a facade of giving out love just to feel like they have accomplished something? Like, you know what I mean? That could be something that they're trying to do as well. Like, you know what I mean? So you really got to look at an empath, because I know you said love bomb with the narcissist, but I've dealt with empaths. As soon as I smile, oh, I love you. Like, hold on, nigga. I'm gonna fart right now. You ain't gonna love me.
Feel great.
Yeah. But that would be what we would consider them naturally being in their natural state, right? So, but then again, even if that's their natural state, like, you know, it's automatically on the forefront without even understanding who we are. I'm gonna dig in my nose, I'm gonna flick boogers, I'm gonna do all this shit. So don't just jump out the window just yet. Like, you know what I mean?
Right. No, well, Selfmade made a good point too, about the toxicity of empaths and the dark side of it, which is like as an empath, you give your power away to the narcissist. You know what I'm saying? Because of that need that you want to fulfill so deeply within yourself is not being fulfilled. You're looking for it outside of yourself, outside of source. You know what I'm saying? And that is never a healthy thing. And that's one of the things about being an empath that people don't understand, is that it's like, you know, yeah, there's like dark aspects of it too, and not valuing yourself, being codependent, putting everybody else's needs before yours, like all that is like, it's not healthy. And not only that, but empaths stay in the dance with narcissists for usually fairly long amounts of time. I mean, it's not like a year or two of you around these people. It's like, you know, you can waste years of your life with either one. And so my thing is like, empaths, I'm definitely seeing what you guys are saying as far as like, it's not just the narcissists that have a level of toxicity, like the empaths do too. And I'm sorry, but we all know that not loving yourself and not valuing yourself will put you in a lot of bad situations and draw you to the wrong people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. You're seeking void.
Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
Well, no, I was just gonna say. So we recognize that they both like you know, right here. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, totally. And they're codependent on one another, and they hunt and prey on one another. But even with
but do you think that is balance?
No, it ain't balance. It's bullshit.
I agree with that.
but okay, let me go ahead and say this though, because a lot of empaths don't know this either. So you really got to figure out what type of empath, like what kind of empath are you? There are dark side empaths. They're manipulators, they're energy suckers. They will sit there and lie to get what they want. They'll be up under you and they will love bomb the shit out of you too. So where do you fall at on that spectrum? That the narcissists aren't the only one that have bad personalities or bad characteristics or traits. You know what I mean? The empaths do as well. And it's literally called a dark side empath.
Just as you can recognize the traits that are quote unquote flaws or whatever, you don't think a narcissist can do that.
What do you mean? Can they recognize their own traits?
Yeah, that's like narcissistic.
All right, let me break it down like this, because I've had, you know what I mean, like heart-to-heart conversations with some narcissists, and I'm like, look, man, like why are you the way you are, right?
Yeah.
I'm talking about every narcissist that I've sat down and had these conversations with will flip that shit on you so fast, and they will not help. There's no accountability. They're like, I'm this way because you made, or I'm this way because my mama was on drugs, or I'm this way because, you know what I mean? They
Right.
the ones that I have encountered will not, I'm not saying all of them, I'm just talking about the ones I've encountered will not self-reflect or accept accountability. They look for something to, you know what I mean, they reach for something to run out of it for him.
Right.
Yeah,
I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean? They won't. I mean, I've probably heard maybe from like one really close narcissistic like relationship, or you know what I mean. And when I say relationship, I'm just gonna say, you know, whether it be friendship or whatever. I've probably heard maybe one genuine, sincere apology come out that individual's mouth.
So there is hope.
That's the 0.01%.
But I mean, at the same time, I believe that we all possess, you know what I'm saying, a little bit, you know, as the empath. I think that, you know, Woon, when we were speaking about it earlier, kind of made me like dig in a little bit, that we do possess equally, you know, certain amounts of narcissistic traits as well. You know what I mean? I don't, yeah, and I believe that, you know, potentially the narcissist may have like a half a trait of the empath or something, or want to, at least, you know what I mean? And that was another thing that we were kind of going back and forth with, is do they want to change, or are they content with who they are, you know? And that goes both ways, even with the empath. You know, I'm a very empathetic person, and I wish that I wasn't in some, you know, in certain situations, because it could be that double-edged sword. But it's very hard to pull yourself out of character, to make yourself into something that you're not, because it feels unnatural, it feels forced, and it's easier to just be who I am, you know, and deal with all emotions associated with being who I am, versus, you know what I mean, trying to kick it up a notch and turn into a narcissist, like a full narcissist.
Hey, wouldn't that be hella funny? And I have to give out. Wouldn't that be hella funny if you got a narcissist and an empath together, and the empath is really trying to be like genuine with like trying to, you know, assess the situation and break it down, and the narcissist is like, nigga, well, you're an empath naturally, so you could tell that to any fucking body, and they just think they run shit.
Okay, I've been in that situation. I've been in that situation. And it wasn't funny when I was in the situation, because I got told I was manipulating the shit out of them, and I know how to use big words, and I'm trying to trick them because I have an extensive vocabulary, and I'm like, wait a minute, you're going above and beyond. But it's still, I mean, I could laugh about it now, you know what I mean? And looking back at like that amount of time that I put into this and trying to, you know what I mean, just have civilized conversation. But, you know, it went in one ear, it goes out the other. There was no resonating with that individual at all. You know, it's just like I'm going to listen to you to shut you up, to get you out of my face so I can go do what I want to do this weekend. That's where it went.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, that's it. Because I would think that, you know, if a narcissist could recognize the fucking traits of a narcissist, I mean of an empath, and they would just, you know, write it off, like, you know what I mean? So it damn near seems like it would take a narcissist to change a narcissist into an empath.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But, you know, even with you saying that though, Woon, you know, how you said that, you know, can the narcissist recognize the empath traits? I believe they absolutely do, because you know what I mean? What's attracted to one another. So it's like they're picking up on, you know what I mean? And they're attracted to something, a quality that that individual has. You know what I'm saying? What I want to see is a fucking narcissist and a narcissist in a relationship and see how that shit goes.
Right.
I feel like
Now,
that would be entertaining.
do you think it's a disorder, or do you think it's more like trauma that to where they like put up a wall and shit?
I think
It's created through trauma. It's then in NPD. I can, well, at least in the scientific like arena, they feel like narcissistic personality disorder stems directly from childhood trauma, and it can be a number of things, honestly. So yeah, I think you're right about that, because it's not, as Lala knows, and as it's not like a, how do I put it? It's not like a disease of the mind. The personality disorders are not like diseases of the mind, like schizophrenia or bipolar disorder. It's not like a chemical imbalance. It's kind of like almost like a form of PTSD, but again, in like a different realm of psychology. I don't know how to describe it better than that, but it's definitely. Go ahead, Lala. Sorry. Oh no, you go ahead. Sorry.
They, recently they started recognizing it as a mental disorder, though. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay. Good to know then. Okay.
It can start to fall into, that same category as, the schizophrenics and so on and so forth. The only difference between it being a disorder, like to that magnitude, is there's no treatment other than behavioral treatment. So going in, talking to a therapist, so on and so forth.
Yeah, that's the hard thing about the personality disorders, is they're not treatable. They say that some of the people diagnosed with it might grow out of it in their old age, but I ain't never seen that yet. I mean, of course, I'm not super ancient or nothing, but it's just like, damn, like I've not seen that yet. Everybody I know has been a narcissist has been like crusty as fuck till the day they died. You know what I'm saying? They never got it. They like never woke up. I never saw that epiphany. So I'm like, I hope that happens for some of them, but like, I don't know. I ain't witnessed it yet.
I haven't either, you know what I mean? But, equally, I think, that the empath is also, it could be considered a disorder. I mean, if you ask me, I think it's a disorder. We self-loathe, we get, you know what I mean? We get depressed, we get sad, we get angry, we get hurt easily. You know what I mean? That's a fucking disorder. Like, if you can't even control your own emotions and, you know what I mean, balance them and reset yourself, and you're seeking that validation, or your happiness comes from somebody else, it's a disorder.
I agree with you. And I'll say, even for myself, like, oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, that the prefix dis from the medical aspect means without, and then order, without order. So I mean, there's no balance within that.
They might need a shroom trip.
Seriously, buddy. Just saying, you're onto something.
For real. Nah, for reals. That might, if they see, how they connected to certain things, and just, a switch in perspective.
No, you're onto something there.
That might be all that they need to see.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I mean, if we're all speaking on that, coming in on the whole I am factor and the I am theory, you know what I'm saying? All right, so those of us who are empaths at this moment in time, you know what I'm saying? On the flip side, we have to be the narcissist too, right?
Yeah. I'd say that we
from all aspects, and we have to be, like Woon says, the participator, the observer. So we have to, you know what I mean? At some point we were, and we, I believe that everybody's a mirror of you. You know what I mean? So is that narcissist, you know what I'm saying, to the empath, the other side, the stronger side, or the, the more powerful side, or, on the flip side.
Ooh, that's a good way to put it. Yeah. Like the strength of the empath.
Right. Are they looking at the empath like, I want to be more loving. I want to, you know what I mean? That's that other side of me, the mirror image to me of, what I want to be or what I need to be, or, so on and so forth. So.
Yeah, I think that especially as being a fucking Gemini, right? I think that that empaths, they can be, because I know you mentioned it earlier, can the roles be reversed? And I think that you know, if you're just like what Josh was saying earlier about the balance, like, you know what I mean? So with me personally, my thing is wound survival. That's natural instinct. So I'm gonna love you to the point to where fuck you. You understand what I'm trying to say? So and that at that point in time, that's what I would say. Yeah, I'm a narcissist because I cut a nigga off fast. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't give a fuck about none of that
Like,
shit.
you gotta
I'm
go.
not, yeah, because I'm not finna. I feel you, but I'm not gonna love you more than I love myself. That's not gonna happen. Like, you know what I mean? So at that point in time, I would be a narcissist.
But see, you have that duality though, you know what I mean? You Gemini, you just naturally have that duality in you. You know what I mean? You got that
Yeah.
whole balance within yourself. Let's look at the Cancer. You know what I mean? I'm a Cancer.
Oh God.
We're over nurturers, we're over lovers already, you know what I mean? And then you throw
Yeah.
that empath in there, and it's like, you know, that protective side, and that's why they call us the crab, because we're gonna protect. We're gonna don't start
Girl, I'm serious. Y'all son gets mad at me for shit. I don't even know what I did. Like, like, what did I do? They be like, nigga, I'm pissed. Like, why? Like,
those, you know, those flaws come out. So you get the Cancer empath, you know what I mean? And our protection kicks in. We already care about those that are around us. You know what I'm saying? If we mess with you, we mess with you heavy. And you know, it's protective. So how Woon said survival, you know what I'm saying? Our survival includes our entire clan. And I'm protecting those. And you know, that's where that over loving kicks in at.
yeah. No, well, in Cancers, you guys are very deep thinkers too, and emotionally very deep as well. So it's very, I can only imagine, because yeah, your guys' sign is just like empath off the bat, like according to the stars. So, and I agree with what you say about Woon being a Gemini. It's like, yeah, they're able to be a little bit more fluid about things, you know what I'm saying, and kind of chameleon themselves in situations, you know what I mean? But like a lot of the other signs, especially water signs and earth signs, very fixed. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what it is. And so I honestly, I feel bad for Cancers, because it's like, man, you guys are already so deep, like your waters are already so deep emotionally. And then to have that aspect to your personality, like added to it, just like, you know, separate, that's gotta be a lot to carry, for real. For real.
It is. Y'all don't know. Woon be private counseling me on the side.
Girl, it's all right. It's all right. We all got to talk to somebody sometimes.
You got to get it.
But sometimes, no, like say on a serious note, you know what I mean? He's super educated. He brings that great, you know, positive masculine energy. And sometimes you need somebody who genuinely knows you, you know what I'm saying, to kind of hit that reset button for you. And that's just one of the individuals that I trust to do that with, you know what I mean? And have that conversation and, you know, be transparent. Like, but it does get heavy sometimes. It's like you got the weight of the world on the shoulders, and then you know you're carrying Pluto and Mars on your back as well. So it's not always easy. But I mean, I think one thing learning, you know, just about self, you know what I mean? We have to learn who we are. We have to learn how to protect ourselves. We have to learn how to fill those voids that we're lacking, that we're looking for out there. You know what I mean? So the empath is looking for, you know, somebody to nurture. Man, nurture ourselves. You know what I mean? And then the narcissists out here looking for somebody to validate them and to build them up. Man, you got to build yourself up. You know what I mean? So if we're able to look at those things and look within and figure out what it is about us that's attracting, you know, the opposite side of the spectrum, then I think that's going to make us be a stronger individual.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Really recognize the signs, you know what I mean? And when we were kind of going back and forth with this earlier, it's like, you know, for the empath that's connected to the narcissist, it's almost like you don't see the red flags until they're stabbing you with them and shit. You know what I mean?
You know, I'm even gonna go so far as to say, though, you know, here's where I think that we can be even more toxic when we're empathetic, is that, you know, you just said, like, what you just said, like, made me realize that that's another aspect of the toxicity, because it's like, you just said, what are the red flags? We know what the red flags are. That's where I have had to be honest in myself in the past, is be like, you know what, chick, like the red flags was like, line the fuck up. You
But
just
see,
didn't.
let me ask
You
you
just didn't want to pay attention to it because you're
let me ask you
empathetic.
this, like, so because I say the same thing, you know what I mean? And I was joking with one of my friends the other day. I was like, yeah, the red flags were there, but my dumbass is colorblind, right? But as the red flags are there, you know what I mean? Are you recognizing them right there in that moment? You know what I mean?
No, we
Or is
totally
that
turned a
healing,
blind eye to it.
protective, nurturing side kicking in? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what
Exactly.
in my thing. It's like, oh no, this person is just going through something. Let me love them into loving this. You know what I mean?
You
Yes,
damn near convert the red flag. She converts
Right.
it into a green flag.
Right. Let me get my spray can real quick. Come here.
Yeah, you know
This
what I
ain't
mean?
red. This ain't red. Hold
not
on. We're gonna push this up.
This is orange.
I'm not recognizing it as a red flag where, people around me would be like, bitch, if you don't hurry up and get up out of that
Right.
situation, you know what I mean? But I'm like, I'm not recognizing
Hey,
it,
see, the cold thing about that is that sometimes we don't see the red flags because we don't want to, because it's
We're
gonna
in
be,
Exactly.
we're
And
gonna
that's what I'm
feed
taking
into it.
ownership.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm
Choose
personally taking ownership for, is that it's like every bad situation, because empaths are blessed with such like deep intuition. And I know, Lala, you've probably experienced this too. Every time in my life I have not listened to my intuition, I have burned myself. Every time I have ignored the red flags, every time I thought I could love somebody out of something, whether it was a friend, family member, significant other, whatever, I always backfired in my face. And that's where I say that as empaths, it's another aspect of our toxicity, because it's like you ignoring all the red flags. We feel deep down inside. We know better, but Woon was right. We don't be wanting to like acknowledge it. We don't be wanting to see it because we think we can change it.
Exactly. That would cut off our whole mission. Like, no, nigga, I got a mission to change this flag color. Just like
Yes,
Selfmade
yes.
said. Like, so if I see it, then it's just like, all right, motherfucker, I do see it, but no, I'm gonna
Right.
right.
We're gonna ignore this and keep going.
Yeah, I'm that special one that's going to change it, but I mean, so how do we recognize that?
crazy.
You know what I'm saying? And even with that being said, because I've been in the same situation, you know what I mean, over and over and over and over and over, the door just keeps opening and shutting, in the same person, different body.
Yep.
Why do we continue to keep doing this shit?
That right there.
Yeah.
That within
That's why I
itself
was
is
like,
damn near
okay,
the
I'm
answer.
getting off this shit. Yeah. I was like, I'm good.
That within itself is the answer, because you're gonna have to. That's the whole point of looping and going in circles. You're gonna have to continue to get slapped in the face to realize, like, all right, I don't like getting slapped in the face. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I got to change something within myself because this situation keeps playing itself out every time. I keep having to break up, or we keep having to do certain things, and it's like, all right, now I need to take a step back and actually analyze myself as to why this keeps happening.
Right. And it's
oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say real quick, because it's funny that when me and Laura was talking earlier, that kind of came up, and the question was arise from that aspect, like, are we really changing for real? Right? Like, can we really not be naturally loving, right? So then, but we associate empathic behavior with over loving. So then the shit has to be repackaged. Just like you said, like, something got to change. You don't have to change your ability to love freely or even unconditionally, but the way that you put that shit in emotion is a whole totally different thing.
Yeah, that's
like, you know what I mean?
That's a fact.
So it's kind of like a yes and no answer in terms of the change. Like, you know what I mean? Because of course you don't want to let another, just like if you're in a regular ass relationship and somebody fuck you over, you don't want to be like, well, I just don't fuck with dudes no more. You still want to give motherfuckers a shot, but the way that you deal with them is going to be different. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Sure.
But
that's where that both comes into play.
Exactly.
But it's harder though.
You know what I mean?
It's a lot harder than you imagine, though. You know what I mean? Because it's so, like I say, it's so much easier to dwell in your natural environment of who you are than it is to put a mask on and a persona and, you know what I mean, become something that you're not. It's really, really hard, especially, when you're going from, and I don't want to use this, I hate using this analogy, but when you're going from light to dark, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you're living in love, or you're living in peace, and you're living in serenity, to have to pick that mask up and to go into, you know what I'm saying, ignoring, or, you know what I mean, aggressive behavior, it's hard.
Yeah, because it's not who you really are. You're right.
Exactly.
Right.
So, you know, it's like you're constantly now you're at a whole ass war with yourself. You know what I mean? Because you can now, I think the first thing to be genuine in the world is to be genuine to self. You know what I mean? And I know that for a fact, we came here to experience whatever it is that we came here to experience.
Right.
And we're gonna like I can only go back to that revolving door thing. I'm gonna keep going through that lesson until I learn how to conquer it. And apparently I haven't learned how to conquer it yet, but you know, I'm working on it. It's baby steps. But you know, trying to pick up that shield and be able to protect and defend myself, you know, in my love, in my loving aspect, and you know, all the good about me, but still be able to have that healthy boundary of I'm not gonna overlove.
Right.
Yes.
Wait, so when you said something about shadow, like that aspect not being you or something to that effect.
It's harder to go from, you know, from I don't, and I hate that analogy, light to dark. You know what I mean? So going from loving and you know what I mean, and that from
to the quote unquote like
a harder
negative
person, right?
Yeah, but would you still say that part is something to be like analyzed and like, you know, not necessarily like dwell in, but get used to and comfortable with? And
I mean,
you
I
think
ain't got no
that
choice. I'm tired of that damn door slapping me in the face.
Yeah.
I have to
that's
get
gonna
comfortable with it.
relate?
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you think
I
that
think
aspect is going to relate into the love aspect, like as far as the understanding, so that you don't quote unquote, I guess, over love?
I don't see. I think it would, but at the same time, you know, it's I don't know how to explain it. Like you'd have to walk in my shoes. It's really hard to even try to be that. You know what I mean? When I've worked so hard to be like a loving person, you know what I mean? Now it's like I gotta work to be a gangster, and I'm not gangster.
Right? That's not what you want to be.
I'm not that like that when it's all said and done. You know, I'm the lover. I'm the person I'll lay in the bed and cry with you if you listen. You know what I mean? So for me to go from, you know, that soft side to just, you know, now I'm out here on some savage shit, it's really, really hard. I mean,
yeah, I agree with you, Lala. It's that's not in your
relationship.
heart, then you shouldn't try, you know, because like you said, when you're forcing yourself to be something you're not, that doesn't feel good either. You know what I mean? And for empaths, you're right. It's like we don't want to go too overboard, but we also have to find that healthy balance too, because it's not good to keep outputting so much energy and love and not getting a whole lot back in return. And that's one thing I'm sure you guys noticed about empaths is that they don't get a lot back in return. You know what I'm saying? They really don't. We don't at all, you know? And that's something that I think you're really good to point out, because it's like, yeah, I wanted to be a total ruthless savage too, but it's like then when you're faced with it, it's like, well, this isn't really how I want to be though. You know what I mean? Like,
Ella put out a gun and start crying, and she's like, I don't want to.
oh shoot! I'm gonna shoot you. No, wait, 5 second thoughts.
These bullets really are filled with love. Like what?
And I just throw them at you instead.
Right. But I think that in the event of that happening, like, you know, you would literally have to understand what tough love is, because, like, you know, again, what I was saying earlier about the narcissist may have to understand who they are from another narcissist. Like, you would really have to get at them niggas like how they get at you. And that, like, and again, like, and I know that you're, you know, how Alize put it earlier, like, you know what I mean? You're a Cancer and you're an empath, so you got like the extra. But
yeah,
you know, but just at that, even hold on, wait, because you said you a crab too, and crabs come out with their motherfucking claws sometimes, so I just ain't gonna put
in
it
the protective element,
like
absolutely.
But
yeah,
protecting of self though too, of self.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So we got to understand.
Well, so you got to understand the crab though, Woon. Hold on, let me stop you, because when the crab feels, stop laughing.
Crabs is hard body. Crabs is hard body. They hard body.
No, on some real, on some serious shit. I ain't messing with you, man. The crab though, when it feels attacked, what does it do? It retreats to its shell. You know what I mean? And that is the typical like characteristic of a Cancer. When we feel attacked, we shut down. We go back in and we deal with it within self, and then we'll come out with our claws out and shit like that.
Exactly.
But we have to retreat to self first. We'll go back into the body.
See, that's I think that's
So that's what I'm saying. Like, as far as, you know, coming out swinging like a gangster, it's not that easy. You know what I mean? And then you got to put the female aspect on top of that. You know what I'm saying?
Damn it.
You're looking at it from the male perspective. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot easier for the male to be hard than it is for the female. You know, and I ain't gonna lie, like there's times I had to be hard and I feel like a straight jackass doing it, like, because it's just not me. It's not me. It's not
that's
how
what
I
I'm saying. Like the tough love aspect of it. And this is if you really, and I'm not even reflecting on self, if you really are trying to make somebody understand, just like, you know, because I know you got a daughter and shit. I know, well, I don't know, but you know, most parents would have to scold their child or do whatever, like, you know what I mean, to make sure that they get a certain lesson that they're trying to give. You can't give them love, and expect them to understand what discipline is, right? So with that being stated, just coming into that same frame of mind, like, you know what I mean? Like, and I have, that's what I'm saying. But again, you know, we could say the male, we could say the Gemini, but I have no problem with showing a nigga tough love. Like, you know what I mean? So, in that aspect, I think that we have to understand that it's okay to be an asshole.
And that's a part of understanding that you are everything in totality. Like, you can't.
That's a good point.
You know, you can't remove anything from self. Mm-hmm. So it's just like you have to kind of get comfortable with being uncomfortable in certain situations, because you're gonna deal with certain situations all the time, and you can't just react every single time with love, because then that's how you get taken advantage of and all types of other stuff. So it's like, it's situational, but you do have to get comfortable with being hard sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? And I really,
on the flip side, just with men, we gotta be comfortable with being soft. You know what I'm saying? And on that emotional side, like it's the same thing.
Well, I really, really like how you just worded that. You know, as in for the for the empath, anyways. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like how you said you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? Because from an empathetic perspective, we get comfortable living uncomfortable anyways. We're constantly like questioning, so it's like, why can't we flip that and do it, you know what I'm saying, on a positive perspective versus, you know, negative. So I do that's a bar, Selfmade. I like it.
Yeah.
That was a fucking fact.
Nah, for real, because I be feeling the same way about certain stuff. It's like, dang, I don't want to have to step out of myself in a certain sense to, you know, check somebody, or, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to have to do all this, but it's just like, sometimes you got to do that, because I've seen certain instances where people get taken advantage of, and then they get the short end of the stick, you know what I mean? Like, sitting out like, damn. So all you had to do was step up to the plate. Yeah, it might not have sounded right, or, you know, they might not have fucked with you afterwards, but you just damn near saved yourself from whatever, you know, the outcome could have been.
Right.
Yeah. And it's like, just like you said, some people say, I don't want to step outside of my character, right? But again, on some I am shit, if you know that you are all things, you're well within your rights to, you know, to go to the dark side and bring some light to some of these niggas. Like, you know what I mean?
Right, for reals though.
By any means necessary.
I mean, okay, so even going with that, you know, Woon, we know you have the duality, you know what I mean? And
I'm a lover first. I'm a lover first. I will say that. I'm a lover first. Always. Fact. I'm a lover first. That's a fact.
Definitely.
But, you know, at what point would you feel like that narcissistic tendency? Because I wouldn't even call it a behavior with you. You know what I mean? Only because I personally know you. You know what I mean? Yeah. I know that balance with you. But when would you say that side of you would kick in?
That side of me would kick in when it's time to kick some narcissist ass. Because I would say, I would say that I'm a
Right.
lover first, which means that I would be an empath first. But then, you know, it's situational for me. So if some shit happened to where it's just like, okay, what type of time we on? Like, you know what I mean? Because as a Gemini, sometimes I'm a fucking mirror of what we doing today. Like, you know what I mean? So whatever you want to play, we can play it. So if you come to me with love and respect, nigga, you gonna get that times 10. Like, you know what I mean? But if you coming with some weird shit, now I gotta be activated. Like, you know what I mean? I gotta get on some activated shit. And I'm still well within my rights because I gave love first. Like, you know what I mean? So if I give you love first and then you come with some bullshit, now I'm well within my rights to assess the situation how it needs to be assessed with no regrets.
But see,
Straight
even
up.
with that being said, though, you know what I mean? Do you see Geminis have the ability to turn their emotions off and on like a switch, you know what I mean? So it's a little bit easier for you.
I cry at the end. I cry at the end of the night after I beat somebody's ass. I cry at night.
You feel bad about it? Why I have to do it like that? Okay,
like,
but
damn,
so
when you
with
did
that
too
being
much.
said, you know, do we feel like, you know, do you have to be either narcissistic or empathetic? Is there, you know what I'm saying? Are there people who are neither?
Ooh, that's a dope ass question.
If you're not analyzing the words,
then you would,
then I feel like, then you know what I mean? Like now you're literally just analyzing self and the actions of self and, you know, certain situations and how you deal with certain stuff. If you're not worried about the words and none of that, you really focused on self, I feel like you could be like neither, quote unquote, because you're going to be both. Like being neither is damn near being both.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah,
because
you know?
neither would say, I don't associate with it. So that means, I'm all that shit.
Yeah, right.
Nothing and everything at the same time.
This nigga's crazy.
But
hey, we got a narcissist in the building right now.
He said it. He came out and said it. Narcissist here.
My brother, oh God, man. I don't.
Oh, shut up. Shout out to the chat. My bad. Go ahead.
Yeah, shout out to the chat. We got people, Jordan in here. What's up with bro? And Bika, Cali King.
Yeah, Facebook wise, we got shout out to LB in the building. We got Rose Smith in the building. Yeah. Cali
Hey,
King,
you want to get in here, neighborhood? He said at least he think he is.
I hope he does, because I want to hear, you know, from an open perspective.
No, yeah, definitely. That'd be dope. Because then we can kind of put the clamps on why narcissists are how they are. And because we're all strangers, we don't feel like, you know, anybody's coming to hurt us. So
exactly. I just sent you the link, bro. Facebook Messenger. If you trying to jump in, slide. Oh.
But yeah, this conversation is lit. Somebody inboxed me and said that we have the perfect women speaking up on this thing. So
yeah,
we highly appreciate you guys for sliding through.
Thank you. Do you guys think that, you know, even with just in general, you know, with characteristics of who we are, you know, I follow astrology heavily, you know what I mean? And the first thing I want to know is what sign are they? You know what I mean? But
me,
you know,
yeah, Lala, me too. I'm the same way. That should be real.
Right. But you know, do you think that certain signs are more
prone to narcissism or empathy?
Right.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. I feel like the water signs are the most prone to being empathetic. I feel like Leos and Sagittariuses are able to be prone to be. Aries, I don't feel like so much, but that's only because I haven't observed it. But no, I feel like there's definitely signs that could fall either way to, like the air signs and the earth signs. I think could be either or. You know what I mean? Like
that's a good ass point. That's
what I've seen too. I've noticed that like certain signs, like you said, Lala, are way more prone to being one or the other, or you know, whatever. So
I'm gonna say just like how you said it, the fire signs, them niggas is fucking narcissists.
Yeah, right. Aries and August Leos, July Leos, I feel like have enough Cancer influence to where they have like, you know, they have, because as you know, Lala, like when people are born close to the cusp, like they can have traits of the sign before them. So I feel like July Leos, I haven't ran into the arrogance that I ran into with the August Leos. Like I'm a July Leo, but like I'm a gang of my family, my mother, 2 of my brothers, gang of my cousins, they're all August Leos. And I get what you mean, Woon, because like August Leos, you can't tell them niggas shit. Like seriously,
Hey, I'm an August. Hold on. Wait, time out.
Some of the August Leos. Some of the August Leos is my closest motherfuckers though.
No, my mom was an August Leo too, and I kid you not, she was. My mama was like the hardest nigga I knew.
They are them August Leos. They like, man, we showed no mercy. Y'all better step right or step off. Shit.
Some of my closest partners is August Leos, and then let me see.
Every Aries I know is a hot mess. I don't know about y'all, but
my older brother's an Aries, and that nigga got the same energy as all fire. Like all fire signs to me is kind of the same and shit. Like, you know what I mean? But I think that I say that they're more prone to being narcissists because in a certain sense they don't give a fuck about none of that shit. Like, you know hey, but I love that energy because it's just like hell, nigga. That again, just like what I said, like, oh, we ain't giving a fuck. I don't naturally give a fuck anyway. So like, so let's party. Like,
we're gonna get along great.
Right. But then, like, you know, we get to the air signs. A lot of air signs go either way. Like, you know, I can't
stand y'all either. Woon. No, I'm playing. Y'all are hella fun, but it's like it's very hard. I feel like to nail you guys down as far as like emotionally because you guys are so. How do I put it? You guys are just so open as far as like your views on things, and you guys are able to be very flexible. So, like for a fixed sign like me, like man. I'd be like wondering about you air signs sometimes. Like, do these niggas care at all? Like, what's going on in there? Like,
we flow. We just flow. We flowing right now. Like, you know,
right?
So that's how we rock. But no, I think that because what we got earth signs. Nah, because I think Taurus is earth signs. Some Taurus don't give a fuck about shit too.
Oh, Tauruses don't. They're very, very. Very like you can't tell them nothing for sure. Like they're the one sign that I say the most stubborn.
They're dominant. They're all of that.
They ramming everything. Shit.
All the shit. And then what we got left? The earth, fire, wind, water. Okay, water. So we already associated Laura with the
crybaby.
Yeah.
What's good, everybody?
We love y'all, girl. Don't let them talk about you. We love y'all.
Yeah, we can hear you. But you know what? Cancers make some of the best friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
honestly,
they do.
You know what I mean?
Solid. Yeah, actually, 2 of my best friends on earth, like for a couple decades, have had my back through some serious shit throughout life are cancers. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. Like cancers are some of the best friends you'll ever have. It's like you were saying, Lala, it's hard for y'all to get close to somebody, but once you guys do, you guys are all in. Period. End of story. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Y'all are all the energies going into it. So.
Yeah, I fuck with cancers on a level just like, and you said this earlier, Alize. And I told you I'm gonna call you that for the rest of the night. So please.
I know. I'm gonna get y'all after that.
But how you said that they are able to get into deep conversations, and a majority of the cancers that I dealt with, we go in because, and me and Selfmade was talking about this earlier in a different type of conversation, but just the feeling aspects of things would make you think on a different type of level. Like, you know what I mean? Because now we're dealing with feelings, and feelings will spark spark the flame in order to make you think about how you're feeling. Like, you know what I mean? So that shit, like the conversation be crazy. Like, you know what I mean?
We're the ultimate feelers. We feel every emotion. You know what I mean? We feel literally every emotion, and then our feelings change. They say with the waxing and the waning of the moon. So, you know what I mean? We go back and forth and flip flop, but we do have to face every emotion that's given to us. You know what I mean? Ultimate fillers.
Definitely. So we got is that God right there?
That's the C, man. He in the building. What's up, bro?
Okay, definitely. What's good?
Yes, sir. What's good with the gods?
It's popping,
Oh,
bro.
chilling, man. Was good.
Shit. Just posted up, got back to the house. I just entered my fourth kid into the world.
Oh,
That was
Oh,
just
congratulations.
Thank you. Beautiful baby boy.
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
Definitely.
Yes, sir.
Young God.
So
Young life.
yeah, man. I recently I don't know if I'm able to go in, but
Go in. You
Yeah,
got
you
it.
got
okay,
the
for
floor.
sure. For sure. Thank you. I've recently been diving into the topic of narcissism and, narcissistic personality disorder and, really having a hard look at myself because I exhibit a lot of those characteristics and traits, being the lack of empathy, the lack of consideration, also like on a positive note, being able to, what's the word? Get along with a lot of people, being able to evolve, being able to adapt, being able to have that high functionality, that high optimistic, bright, almost nearing toxic levels of positivity at times. And really just been, like I said earlier, diving into that whole topic. Because really, I feel where it started at for me was early in my childhood, as far as like, I was born and being able to I was born in a reality where I was always told I can do whatever I want. I can believe in myself. Anything that I put my mind to, I have the ability to do that, and I can essentially be however I want to be. And, I had a great environment with my mother, creating that for me in a structured way. Like, I wasn't just jumping off the walls, being able to do what I want. I mean, my mom from East Oakland, so she wasn't having that. So in reality, I felt like it got to a point where as I became an adult, that concept and that reality of feeling like I could pretty much do whatever and be however was always instilled in me. So as I got older, I, implemented that, to positive traits, feeling like I can believe in myself, and also in some negative traits, feeling like I can act however I want, whether it be negative to other people and, not really giving a shit about the consequences. And as far as my zodiac sign, I'm an Aries. So I'm very,
I was gonna ask that.
we were just talking about you,
I was gonna ask that. I was going to ask that on me.
yeah,
Go ahead.
for
Okay.
sure,
So
for sure. So you know how Aries are and how
Oh, yeah.
headstrong, we the best, we number one, always the greatest. You know what I mean? So just having that mindset be positively reinforced, through the help of my mother and my family, and feeling like, okay, I have the confidence to set my mind and, not listen to other people's opinion about myself, whether it be good or bad, and be able to know that I can, muscle through all of that. So that hardcore, like extreme, like I can do whatever. And I've been able to live a life where I can do that because, respectfully, I don't consider myself, whatever spectrum of the word bad person. You know what I mean? I feel my karmic good deeds outweigh my negative ones. So I always felt at times like, well, when I do act up or I act a fool, it can slide, because in my heart, I know deep down inside, I love the world. I love people. I love humanity. I love myself, which is really where a lot of that comes from, is a self-love of like, okay, I'm accepted of who I am. And I had a early understanding of, okay, from like 7 years old, I had a concept of my reality of who I was and how I felt about my own, person at that age, which,
right.
I guess you can say is something that in younger children that isn't oftenly found. But nonetheless, I had a good sense of myself at that age and carried that on from then till now. And just understanding what narcissism is, that ability to just, almost blind yourself to the environment around you, and just kind of putting that cocoon of like, nah, bro, I'm great, I'm lit, I'm dope, don't, no, I'm not, there's nothing wrong with me, something wrong with you. You know what I mean? And like having that, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say. So ultimately, you beat your ass before somebody else beat your ass.
Absolutely,
Yeah, like
for
you
sure. And then, you know what I mean? And really just, I mean, it took my wife being able to, show that that idea to me, because at the time I felt like narcissism was a certain specific set of, you know, expressions. And I felt like, well, since I'm
Right.
a, you know, a good person, in parentheses, that can't be me. You know what I
Right.
mean? And it took a lot to really start breaking that
Can I?
down.
But it's a
And
good point.
go ahead.
Real quick, Laura, I'm gonna let you go in. But it's a good point that you said that, because it seems like what you're saying, the intent behind what you do would ultimately set the tone for who you ultimately are, and
Correct.
fuck the perception of what people may think or how they feel about you. You know your intent is good. So
Right.
you might not be a narcissist.
Yeah, I was just about to say.
Yeah,
If you
No,
that's
was,
no, I'm not
what
gonna
I
cap.
kind of wanted
I'm not
to
gonna
get
cap.
into, you know what I
Like,
mean, and ask as well.
Yeah,
And,
but
you
go
know,
ahead.
I want to say thank you, you know, for stepping in and joining, because there's a lot of people who, you know,
Can't do
are
what you just
narcissists,
did.
but won't admit, you know, that they are, because like I, you know, I don't know if you were tapped in earlier, but they don't see any error in, you know, their ways. But you
Right.
did vocalize that, you know, you have the tendency to lack empathy. You know what I mean? Can I ask, like, what character? And I love the fact that, you know, your childhood was built and your confidence built you up to who you are now, you know, in this
love.
day. Because, you know, on the flip side, I've noticed that a lot of people who do have like narcissistic personality disorder, they put that wall up or become that way because, you know, of childhood traumas, like to the other extreme of the spectrum. You know what I mean?
Right,
So I'm
right.
glad for sure that yours was in a positive, you know, light, and you were able to overcome and, you know, be who you are with confidence and pride, you know, and head held up high. But in like the lack of empathy and, you know, different characteristics that are associated with it, like, I guess I'm trying to ask, like, which characteristics would you feel like you picked up, and why do you feel, you know, or what makes you recognize that you lack empathy, or, you know what I mean? If you could just kind of walk us through like the day to day
Great
on those
question.
kind of things.
That's a dope ass question.
well, that's a great question. Well, honestly, I felt through like the trauma that I experienced mostly throughout my life, that I felt kind of created a lot of the narcissistic personality traits, was when I got into my first like hardcore relationship with my you know, child's mother. At the time I was 19, and you know, it really was just it was a beautiful experience. It helped me, you know, step up to being the man that I am today. Nonetheless, I felt, you know, as a young man and being in a relationship that was very new at the time, but very serious. And, you know, God blessed me with a great woman at the time that actually really wanted to hold me down and do the right thing for me. But I, at the time, wasn't, you know, wasn't aware and wasn't able to, you know, reciprocate that. And, you know, we were both young at the time, 19, 21. And nonetheless, she was, you know, ready to, you know, be serious. And I still had a lot of growing up to do. But throughout the course of that time, I developed a lot of things, because the hurt that I caused to her would almost, you know, not register to me, because I was like, I can't, like, I haven't been in a relationship like that prior to that point. So I haven't hurt anyone to that level. So for me to do something like that, I couldn't believe it. Like, you know, I didn't think my actions at the time were that, you know, held that magnitude. And as I started, you know, continuing to, you know, do more hurt, continuing to, you know, make up and try to, you know, get my way as far as, you know, keeping the relationship going. And as well, you know, as her being an adult, she had, you know, parts of her accountability by continuing to stay in the relationship with me. So a lot of that, you know, helped my, you know, negative sides kind of react, because once again, it fueled that idea that I can do whatever I want. You know what I mean? Because people are going to allow it. People are going to justify it. People are going to say, oh, that's just Troy being Troy. And, you know, they know deep down, and the people that are around me know my heart, know my, you know, intentions, and know my spirit, that, you know, I genuinely do want to be a good person. And nonetheless, there are certain characteristics and traits with my temper, with my, you know, just, you know, irrationality at times, and how I just, you know, blow up, But then at the same time, the blow-ups were never intentionally to hurt people. It just would be a frustrated way that I display my anger due to having some, like my first childhood trauma was my mom and dad separating at 7. So the anger issues that I never really addressed from my pops not being there, et cetera, and then me being the new dad and addressing all those different types of things that I never really got a chance to, look at. And plus at that time, niggas didn't do therapy, you know what I mean? So I wasn't in none of that realm or space. So I was just out here winging it, you know what I mean?
Right.
And causing a lot of damage nonetheless. But at the same time, doing what I could to rectify it, but nonetheless causing damage, as well as, catalyzing, or I would say crystallizing some negative habits and negative thought processes that once again stem from a positive reality of me being able to feel like I had the confidence to do whatever and be whatever, but then it being negatively manipulated through my own, distorted perception of what that actually meant. And really that lack of empathy came from a sense of just, me feeling and only being able to like isolate and barely understand my own feelings at the time. So being overwhelmed with, different information and trauma and just experiences that I went through specifically with that relationship at that time. And it, once again, me not having really time to process any of it and having to get up the next day to either go to work or go to school or help, try to, do what I can with this woman to raise our child at the time.
Right.
So it really just was a kind of a perfect storm of just suppression and repression and being able to just like, oh, let's make it up, it's good times, whatever, and just kind of building this false sense of reality for myself that I was doing the right thing, and I was, you know what I mean, when I could have absolutely been doing a lot better. And
That's not the first time I heard that either.
It wasn't until I got into this relationship with my wife currently, where she, as someone that's been, extremely versed in the mental health field and, just overall spiritual health and just, basically having a personal research and experience with mental health issues and just, having that information on hand, she was able to, place the mirror in front of me to really help me address these personality traits and more so these expressions. And, it was able to kind of, like I said, I went through a spell of depression. I went through a spell of just, denial, like, no, I'm not that, no. And fucking till I really was able to have the conversation with her and be able to positively look at, narcissism in a way that it's just another symptom of, mental expression. Like, just like someone could be autistic, just someone could have Down syndrome, just someone can have schizophrenia. Narcissism is just another classification. And, obviously it's been stigmatized throughout, society. Nonetheless, if it was more, if it had a little more compassion around it and a more understanding and space evolved
I will
around
say
for
that.
it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. Like, honestly, narcissists, like, because a lot of what creates a narcissist is childhood trauma. You're right. A lot of us don't remember, like, hey, these people develop these coping skills in order to survive their environment. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. And you're right. Like, we need to be more compassionate towards narcissists as well, because they're people who have been hurt too. You know what I'm saying? Like, straight up.
Definitely. I want to ask real quick, oh God, if you don't mind me asking, would you consider your wife to be an empath?
I was gonna ask that too.
If you had to
Absolutely.
choose.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So too. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
this might be a situation like you were talking about, Woon, where it balances each other in a positive manner. You feel me?
What I mean.
Because they're able to make their marriage work and still compromise with each other and still love each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that there's a lot to be said for that. A lot.
The reason why I asked that is because, again, I'm all about balance, me personally, and I think that that sometimes when we get a relationship that has both a narcissist and their opposite as an empath, then that would be a beautiful thing because you would see the balance from either side. But it will be in certain situations that the narcissist is still trying to figure out that they're a narcissist, and the empath is still trying to figure out that they're an empath.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So at that point in time, if you already know your role and know your position, then you're able to assess it, and then you're able to get past that. And it seems like, again, and that's what I was saying when you first started talking, it seems like you already understood your position, right?
Yeah, and that's what I
do it.
Exactly. So it seems like you was already well on your way to, you know, to getting, I don't want to say getting rid of that energy, but you was already well on your way to heal from whatever it was.
Right. You know what I mean? Transmute it, being able to transmute it. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's what we were talking about earlier too. Remember, is that, you know, when we were saying, you know, can the narcissist and the empath work? And, you know, my conclusion was the narcissist isn't accepting that they're a narcissist, so they don't see any, you know, any wrong.
Yeah, girl, you did say that. Yep.
You know, in their balance that they have worked out, you know what I mean? And then we got to also look at it. She has mental health background. So she's like, no, I see these bullet points, nigga. This is what you are. You know? And he's loved and respected and was receptive
for real,
enough,
respectfully.
you know what I mean? To sit there and accept that and start to work on that. But I do have a few questions. You know, when you went through the stage of recognizing that you were hurting individuals, you know what I mean? Or when you said you were hurting individuals, you know, like the child's mom and so on and so forth, were you recognizing that and just not caring, or were you, I mean, did you recognize it?
Yeah, no, I didn't care. No, I didn't care at all. I didn't care because that's one of my, you know, like I said, this is all like, I'm just now getting on the other side of it. If you would have talked to me like maybe 2-3 weeks, maybe a month ago, I would have been like, fuck y'all, that ain't me.
I was just gonna say, please be aware and remind yourself that we're talking to an Aries.
You know, so I'm just on the other side of this. So, you know, and then I also, like, if I can be what me and my wife say, TBV, to be vulnerable, like the ultimate like narcissist cheat code is to be like, yeah, I'm a narcissist, and then it automatically defense mechanism.
Yeah, exactly.
So I can still be a narcissist and just be like, yeah, you know,
I told you.
just throwing that out there. But no, back to as far as the not caring, that was my biggest defense mechanism. You know what I mean? Is to just obliterate the other side's perspective and just go straight nihilistic and like, I just don't care. You know what I mean? Because
how does that feel? I mean, you know what I mean? And I guess I'm really asking because I'm the kind of person, you know, being an empath, if you're sitting there crying, I'm gonna cry with you. So I don't know how it is to be like, I don't give a fuck, you know, and
bruh,
see that
I'm gonna tell you, it's one of the most freeing feelings in the entire world. Like, I love it.
It's the most freeing feelings in the world. Are you serious?
Like, and that's
thank you for admitting that. Thank you.
Because I get high off of that. Like, I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Like, and I really don't care. Like, I really don't. And it just helps me get through what I'm going, because if I do care, I'm gonna start raging the fuck out. And then
that's the defense mechanism, though.
Thank you for admitting that. Thank you. Yeah. I can't tell you how much that meant just now that you admitted that, because I was just telling them when we got started that my mother was actually diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder, which is super severe. And to even get the diagnosis of it. And like, I've had, like my most recent ex was super narcissistic, like same thing. I'm an empath like Lala. And it was like, I wanted to know the answer to that, because there's times where my mother will say shit to me and I'll be like, God damn. Like, I can't even tell I came out your body. Like, you know what I'm saying? You talk to me like, man, you know what I'm saying? Like, what is it? And then my mother is a counselor too. My mother actually has her own practice in Washington State and is a social worker. She does social work at one of the hospitals in Eastern Washington. And then she also has her own personal clinic. So she knows, you know what I'm saying? My mother is like, she's got her yeah, man, I tell you what, people pay her to talk to her, and she cannot talk to her kids to save her life. The shit that comes out of my mother's mouth sometimes is like, Mom, yes, can you put a fucking leash on that or something? And I'll be wondering sometimes, like, does she care that she's being hurtful? Same thing with my ex, like Lala was saying, like, if you're somebody sitting there crying and you know that you've hurt them, like, I've always wondered, like, that being the person who was crying, like, does this motherfucker even care? And I'm sorry, y'all, I cuss. So
Nah,
You know,
where's
like
mine?
I really appreciate him admitting that, because I have been like beating my head up against the wall literally for decades trying to figure out, like, do these motherfuckers even care that they like are hurtful? Like, I really like to know deep down. So for, you know, thank you. That was very freeing for me. Like,
No
But
problem.
when you said that, though, you know, I recognize that you said that it was the most freeing feeling ever. But I also heard you before everybody jumped in said if you cared, then you would be what?
Then I would
oh,
start
if
because it's not
wait, if you cared, what, hun?
because
Oh, a
no
No,
narcissist?
yeah,
because that's
he
the
said
thing. It's
Yeah,
like
where like the empath picks up those traits, or is that what you were referring
no,
to?
but
What part of the
he said,
conversation?
you know, that it's freeing for him to not care because
Yeah.
it helps him get through his day. But I didn't get to hear the rest of his answer. If he cared, it would make
And
you,
what?
and then
Oh, okay, yeah.
yeah, what
Oh,
yeah,
okay, my apologies. My apologies.
no, you so yeah, essentially because I mean, speaking from my personal perspective, I do care, but that's where I kind of alluded to earlier. The false reality that I create for myself as a narcissist is that I tell myself, you know, almost brainwashing style that I don't care because I do want to feel free from whatever that, you know, that
It's the
heavy weight of
defense.
emotional stress at that particular situation is causing me. Because if I
Yeah.
do, and if I do step into that care feeling that I really I would say I don't have the skills to address, then I'll start raging the fuck out.
You
I
got to
start,
deal with it.
you know, just
Yeah.
being a fucking asshole, like, you know what I mean, and just not a really pleasant person. And it's like an out of body experience, bro, because I see myself saying the things that I could say in that moment to be, you know, just alleviated and, you know, really just help out the situation. Yet, you know, and I'm working on this, something takes over me where I just can't help myself. And I
that's
just start perpetuating negative
see.
fucking experience after negative experience. And then by the time the other person blows up, I'm like, well, what's going on with
Mhm.
you? What are you doing? You know what I mean?
No, you know what? I appreciate your honesty in this situation because a lot of
Me
people
too.
can't even recognize that that's what they're doing. You know what
Yeah,
I
that's
mean?
a fact.
And it's to
Yeah.
me, it almost sounds like, you know, and I had to deal with this like in my marriage, you know what I mean? That the narcissist is so afraid of becoming vulnerable and having to deal with emotions that it's easier to say, fuck you, bitch. I don't give a shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where they
Yeah.
That's
Hey,
Yep.
Pretty
exactly what it
much.
is. That's exactly what it
Pretty
is.
much.
hey, you know that that narrative is like it used to be stay safe. Now it's stay dangerous. Like, 'cause you know what I mean. The more that you give love, the more that you're vulnerable to get whacked. Like, you know
right.
what I mean, or to get emotionally distraught. Like, you know what I mean. So now people just like, well, nigga, fuck that shit. Like, you know what I mean. But going back to what you were saying earlier, Laura, it's just like, but is that really you?
Right.
Like, you know
But
what I
you
mean?
know
Like,
what though, Woon? You know, I think we kind of got our answer because the narcissist does
does
care.
care,
They
does
don't
care.
lack care.
Yeah,
Like that's what
yeah.
they don't lack care. They're
Hey,
afraid to show that they care.
let's say the reformed narcissist. I'm gonna call it, oh God, the reformed
That's
narcissist.
right. That's right.
Hey, skitty.
Shit.
And you know what? I really, I love your transparency, man. Like you don't even know. There's so many, and I don't know. You know, from the male empath perspective, I don't know if y'all go through the same thing that us females do. You know what I mean? But just your honesty in this conversation. I know a lot of people, a lot of females who are listening are probably like, damn, you know what I mean? Now I don't have to self wonder or, you know what I mean, question myself. It's never, you know, I'm not going to internalize that. It wasn't a me thing. It was a them thing. You know what I mean? So for that,
No,
I appreciate.
absolutely. And I can honestly, you know, I give the glory to God, you know what I'm saying, source, the creator. But honestly, it's really, you know, the reflection of my wife that came into my life to
I
really
was
help
just
bring
about to say
forth
that.
that for me. Because, you know, and do it in a way that was, you know, extremely compassionate, extremely patient, you know what I mean? But at the same time, you know, she pulled me by my coattails, like you said, and like, hey, nigga, this is what you are, bro, and I'm gonna keep letting you know and showing you it. And I don't care if you blow
Yeah.
up, I don't care if you know, I didn't cuss her out, all type of shit. And you know,
Like, woman, I fucking love you.
You know what I mean? All
Right?
type of shit, man. All
Yeah.
type of shit, bro. And I be looking at myself so janky, bro. Like I'll be like, fuck, man. It
No, I
sucks,
feel like
bro.
Lala feels, yeah, I feel like Lala feels like the transparency is really freeing on the other side of the fence. And I've really appreciated hearing you like, you know,
Absolutely.
admit to this and let me know like, hey, this is where our mind state's at when we're in the middle of this kind of situation. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just
Especially to the
very
young
freeing on the
girls.
other end.
I mean, the
Thank
young
you.
girls
Thank
who
you.
might
Thank you
be
for having the
listening that are gonna.
platform.
I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying thank you for, Self and everybody, creating the space and the platform.
You know the young girls who are going to face these things, you know what I mean, it's like you can't internalize that, you know what I mean, and walk around depressed and stressed and upset and chasing somebody's dusty ass in, like you gotta but you know at the same time, you know, being that you do, you know, claim, you know, the narcissistic personality disorder, what does the empath look like to you from your perspective? Because I think all of
Ooh, yeah, dish
Great
this
question.
up.
Great question.
The sheep.
All right.
Right?
Well,
Bah, motherfucker, for real. I've been guilty of that shit. Oof, Lord.
well, prior to, having the other perspective, I'll give my, previous,
That's what we
mode of
want.
thought and then
We
where
want
I've,
that. We want that
gotten
juice.
to. So previously I would think, the empath and really, like I say, prior to diving into spirituality, I say around like 2020, 2019, and really like taking it to a next level as far as the understanding of it. I would previously feel empath and the expression of it was someone that either took on too much or just was like just soft, you know what I mean? From someone that my perspective of, okay, at times hyper masculinity, once again, being an Aries, being someone that's, competitive, macho, force war, you know what I mean? Just wanting to have that quote unquote dominant energy present within my, expression of who I am. I felt the concept of empath as a person just seemed very foreign and very, I would say, almost like, why? Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And a lot of the things that my wife experienced, once again, I'm gonna keep, you know what I mean, that I looked through, I was like, that shit is corny. Like that was the main
Hey,
thing. Like that shit is corny, bro. Like all
hey,
that.
real quick, because I kind of said that earlier. Did it almost seem like the shit was surreal, like it was kind of fake a little bit?
Absolutely. Like, yeah, like it's just surreal and just corny. Like, like this shit is cheesy. It's like, what the fuck? Like, you know what I mean?
Bleeding
Like, of course
heart wants to
you can
save
have
the
empathy.
world.
Right.
Like you can have empathy, you can feel people's emotions. Like I got the concept, but like this whole empath and oh my god, I feel where you're going. Like before I really was tapped in, I was like, the fuck, bro? Like this ain't that. This ain't motherfucking High School Musical. This ain't Twilight, nigga. That shit ain't it.
Hey,
You know what?
hey,
I'm gonna be
respectfully.
100 with you. Everything you just said resonates with me as an empath, and I feel like it's calling the empath out to account because it's like, yeah, man, stop being such a fucking sheep, and you ain't gonna get chewed up and spit out. And that's real talk. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to remember who. You have to be careful. We have to be careful with our energy, and that's the problem with empaths, as you know, Lala, is that we have it's very hard for us to do that. It's very hard for us to do that. And so like, I really appreciate you being for real about that too, because it's like, yeah, bottom line is we have to stop being the victim. I mean, it's all good to have a good heart, but we need to give it to the people who are reciprocating that and filling our cup in return. And that is just what it is. You know what I'm saying? It can't just be one-sided, and like, like the codependency hamster wheel has got to stop at some point. You know what I'm saying? It's not hurting anybody but us. And I really appreciate you really saying that, because it's like, yeah, grab your balls out of your purse and make it happen. You feel me? Like, don't let people push you around like that or manipulate you or anything like that. And so thank you. I just can't thank you enough. Like everything you're saying is just like, man, now I know how to deal with these people. Like,
well, you
No,
know,
no problem. And then
you know,
go
in
ahead.
an article that I read, it said the best way to, you know, that the best way for the empath to basically shit on the narcissist is to live life happily. You know what I'm saying? They fucking hate
yeah,
it. Like when you are
yeah,
living happily without
Right
they
there.
ass, oh, they
Right
can't
there.
stand it.
for sure. For
Right
sure. For
there.
sure. You should just, yeah. My mother used to say the most horrible things to me when I was younger. It was like, oh, you're going to get pregnant at like 14 or, 16. You know what I mean? Just say terrible shit, right? And you're not going to graduate high school, all this stuff, just terrible stuff that you just should not say to your child. And it's like, okay, I graduated on time. Not only did I graduate on time, but I was moved out of the house and roommating with people in their 20s at 16. I left home at 16. I never had to sell my body. I never had to ever put myself in a dangerous situation as far as like anything to like, get myself by was concerned. I went to college, got a bachelor's degree. I did everything she said I wouldn't do. And it's like, she can't handle it. You know what I'm saying? Like, she can't handle the fact that I've never needed her since I was a kid. She can't handle the fact that like I did well. She can't handle it because she thought and told me that like you're never gonna be anything. You know what I mean? And
That was
it's
not
like,
meant for you. That
you
wasn't
know,
meant for you. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, you know what I'm saying? And so it's just like I really appreciate you like saying that, Lala, because it's like, yeah, like that's the one thing that we can do is like you're gonna be wrong, man. Like watch this. Like, yeah, I might be a fucking sheep sometime, but watch this. You feel me?
Oh yeah,
Like
we tried. That's the one
ain't
thing.
all sheep up in that motherfucker, you know what I'm saying? Like
I
The
got
dope, the
I do
dopest
want to ask
thing.
though. Go ahead. I'm
The,
sorry.
I just had to say this real quick. The dopest thing about being a smart sheep, I'm not gonna say cheap sheep, but the dopest thing about being a smart sheep is that if you're wise enough, you would absorb and soak up everything moving. Like, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Why is
yeah,
this dude the leader? How's it, you know what I mean? And then you
Right.
put yourself
You
into that
apply it.
energy.
Yeah.
Like you got the best seat in the house. Like, you
Yeah.
know what I
yeah,
mean? But then
yeah,
it's up to you to be like, okay, I'm tired of being a sheep. Like, you know what I mean? At one point in time, you
yeah,
gotta stop being a sheep and be the fucking goat.
Right.
Like, you
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah. Yeah. We just got to be more careful with our energy
Oh,
because
sure.
dude is right, like if we give it out to just anybody or the wrong people, we're the ones that are going to get burned and nobody's going to even really feel sorry for that and we're the only ones that are going to be left with the aftermath to clean up.
So even with that, because you had a wonderful childhood, and like I don't want to label you, you know what I mean? But you have a different perspective than I do, and I had a wonderful childhood, you know what I mean? Because we were kind of talking about, does it stem from childhood trauma, you know what I mean? But I
Right.
was always, I was brought up in that same light, as both parents, my mom and my dad telling me, you can do what you want to do. You can, you know what I mean? You can be who you're going to be. You're going to be successful because I'm going to give you all the tools that you need, and really help me throughout my life. Yet I am a very empathetic person. And I mean, even just with that being said, it's like, do you feel like you flip that energy from, growing up and chose to take it and maybe like just your confidence like overtook and it became narcissistic? Or would you
Ye-
generally just say that you just started out narcissistic?
No, I felt
You grew up with that,
absolutely
that
great question. No, that's a great question because there was like a point from about like maybe I say from about like 9 till about like 13. I had, some self-confidence issues. I was a little overweight. And just, as far as like girls and just shit like that, I just didn't think that I had what it takes at that time. I just would be like, Mom, the girls that I like don't like me, and that bothers me. And she's like,
Mhm.
well, babe, they're young and da da da. You don't worry about it. You're handsome and blah 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 blah. Good mother stuff, positive reinforcement, etc. But nonetheless, it still bothered me from, like I said, till 9, about 13. But then around like I would say 14, 15, when I started playing sports again, started building my confidence, start shedding the weight, getting muscles, and then started getting the, responses from girls that I wanted. And then as I became more confident and it stepped out into the adult world outside of just, girls and stuff like that, it was more extended from people even before, like I said, those different ages, people walk up to my mom and be like, "Oh, this is your man is chosen. He's blessed. He's going to be somebody." I mean, people used to think I was going to be a preacher because, when I started going to church around 7, I had a really good understanding of the word. And I used to be able to teach the children my age the concepts of the Bible in a kid manner, but still being able to read the text of, at an adult, level. But nonetheless, I would say it stemmed from that, not to get too off track, it stemmed from that moment from like 15, 16 to about 18, 19, me getting out into the world, starting to become an artist, starting to be, and that's another thing that fueled my narcissistic personality is that I'm an artist. I do music, fashion, dance, and I've had a pretty, I would say, successful, hand in all of those fields. So the things that I was able to do, I did very well, very easily. Whatever I tried, I was athletic, so I did well in sports, et cetera, et cetera. And having, not really too many challenges in my life as far as what I wanted to do. I never necessarily had to overcome or persevere. It was always pretty much, easy street. So those times where I got that confidence of, once again, things being pretty easy, things always going my way, things always working out, me getting what I want. And then once adulthood came and that reality, is challenged by, outside forces and just life in general, how was I able to respond and react to that? And once again, the feelings of inadequacy and the feelings of not being able to, make the cut when so many things in my reality told me that I would, and that I would be great and exceptional. When certain times I didn't feel like that was the case, I once again put on those overly extreme ideals of I'm great. Even if other people don't see it, I'm fucking amazing. Like, I don't fucking care. I didn't mess up. What do you mean? A nigga could have did a toe spin and fell flat on my fucking face. I would have got up and been like, nah, nigga, that was supposed to be the move. Shout out to CEO. All my turbo niggas know. Shout out to my boy CEO. Like, nigga, Marcel, nigga, fall and be like, nah, bro, that's the move. What are you talking about?
Right.
And just, not having that space for myself to be like, well, nah, bro, that wasn't the best performance. You can do better.
Right.
You know what I mean? I was just like, nah, I'm the best. And I just fucking had a moment where I was off for like 2 seconds, but I'm the best. You know what I mean? So it developed over, I would say, that period from about like 16 till about 19, 20, 21. And then it internalized from 21 there forward. And then it just kept, finding new ways to manifest itself and double down. Because I, at a point, was in an extremely toxic relationship with the mother of my child, and, not feeling like I had a way out. It just was a means for me to cope with, the stress and trauma of going through, toxic relationship, mostly brought on by my doing, but then also being perpetuated, with my partner, as well as just, also being a little, what's the word? Fuck. Not, essentially it was being, it was acceptable. I'm trying to think, not coddled. What's the word for someone that is essentially, basically just given the pass? Like, it's not coddled, but it's more so it's
Nurtured.
used for adolescence.
Nurtured.
But
Nurtured.
nurtured. There we go. You know what I mean? Nurtured and enabled. That's the word.
Okay, yeah,
enabled.
That's another one.
Yes. Thank you, brother. I wouldn't have got nurtured without enabled, or without, you know what I mean? So it was being enabled. I was being extremely enabled by my environment. Having a mom that was very, took my side even when I was wrong. You know what I mean? And as moms are, she would, let me know behind closed doors, like, hey, you fucking up, but still.
Right.
I had that reality where, nigga, my mama gonna ride with me. You know what I'm saying? So I don't give a fuck. As long as my mom think I'm good and I'm a good kid, I don't give a fuck what y'all think. And my mom is gonna always. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. It's and I, again, I just being on the opposite spectrum, it sounds like, like Selfmade said, it's a defense mechanism, but it's developed. So with that being said, you know, and just listening to your story, listening to your background, is the empath born an empath, or is that a coping mechanism and a defense mechanism as well that we develop?
Yep.
Right. Because like he said he was acting out, you know, with the wall, like he'd be like, I don't give a fuck, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But really he would care, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Imagine one that really just didn't care, you know what I mean? Like it
Oh,
wouldn't
I got one that just don't really care.
you know what I'm saying?
That's when niggas turn into the Terminator.
But the defense mechanism, I think, would look different. You know what I'm saying? Like they not gonna put up a wall of like, okay, I don't care. It's just like you gonna see like, okay, they really don't care at all. You know what I'm saying? They still may have a joyful day. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, you know? But the person with the defense mechanism, he's putting up that wall like you know what I'm saying? Nothing wrong, but he's still dealing with it.
Right. I mean, with us though, you know, like being empathetic, I can't, you know, and it may stem from childhood trauma. You know what I mean? I know that when we were talking about shit, what is the word called that I gave you earlier? I can't even think about it now. The something trauma. It'll come back to me at a weird time, but damn it, now it's like stuck in my mind. But you know, I can't think of a time that would have made me, you know, build this defense mechanism to become empathetic. So it's kind of making me wonder, like, do we use this as a coping skill? You know, the empaths. Do we use this as a defense mechanism? Are we, you know, are we? What the hell is our defense mechanism? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with you. And then honestly, I think that's what kind of touches on what you guys were saying at the beginning, whereas in like it's the same coin but opposite sides, and they intermesh with each other. You know what I mean? Like they complement each other, and so that's a way that. Yeah, please do.
What I just to answer the question, what I feel the defense mechanism for the empath is the intuition, is the ability to see beyond and, you know, really tap into the energy around and almost, you know, tell the future of what someone's feeling and what someone's going on. Because if you think about it in like a nature sense, like there's certain animals that have a heightened sense of smell, a heightened sense of hearing, because they are the prey, so they can hear the predators coming from a mile away, so they can get the fuck out of Dodge. You know what I mean? So I feel the defense mechanism for the empath is the ability to feel and assess the situation from a extreme distance and see the potential threats, you know, coming from a mile away, so they can either prepare themselves or get up out of there. You know what I mean?
Exactly, Lola. Yeah. Sometimes we have to take on the narcissistic traits to survive ourselves. Yeah.
Right. Can the narcissist tell that the empath is in that mode though, as they're in that mode? Like, can you guys see that?
Oh, good question. Yeah.
From my personal perspective, I don't believe so, because from like essentially touching points on what I just said, the fact that you guys have that foresight, me as a narcissist or someone that's experienced that, like I get so caught up in my own bubble.
Shit. Yeah, that's a fact.
Yeah, that I can't really see beyond anything but what I'm in right now. It's like the filter is on red and I can't see what other people are feeling. I can't assess what this may or may not do or say, because I'm in survival mode, and you know, it's pretty much fight or flight. And
what does survival mode look like to you though? I mean, like what does survival mode mean? Like, I'm not gonna let nobody love me because I'm afraid of it. Like,
I mean, that's what it sounds like for me at times, you know.
We've got good intuition, and I think he's right. You know what I'm saying? I think our intuition is actually it's our strength. You know what I'm saying? And he's right. Like, we have to learn how to pick up on like predators. You know what I'm saying? We have to acknowledge and take responsibility as empaths. We have to stop ignoring the red flags and be like, look, bruh, like you, cute, whatever's going on. But you got to keep pushing, because like, or even a family member sometimes, because like I know that sometimes like dealing with my mother, it's like I don't always want to. It's hard to deal with her, and it's like we need to be able to use our intuition to help it's actually to help ourselves out. It's actually an advantage to us. You know what I'm saying? And we need to start like being responsible with our choices,
when we get that foresight, because he just admitted we don't see shit. Like we only see what's in front of us. Like you guys are lucky because you've got the foresight to be able to pick up on what's going on. You know what I'm saying?
And I be salty as fuck, bro. I be hella mad when my wife be hitting me with shit. I be fucking pissed. I'm like,
hey, that's what I was saying earlier about the sheep having the best position in the situation, because they embody everything, because they are the empath, right? So when it comes down to the understanding of the defense mechanism, it would ultimately be the love. Like, you know what I mean? Because it's just like, okay, well, nigga, all right, I see this motherfucker coming, but I already see you coming. So my shit is already aimed at you. But we put down the gun when they get there.
Right.
It doesn't fuck their shit.
Right. Throw the bullets at you instead of shooting.
Right.
And the word I was looking for was trauma bonding. You know what I mean?
I'm looking at our
yes,
that's exactly what it was. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, okay, so you know what does that what does the protective element, I mean, to oneself look like to you, you know, in the narcissistic world? I mean, is it that you guys are afraid to let love in? Are you guys afraid to radiate love? Like, where does that disconnect come? I mean, or is it just that you guys think we're soft and shit? Like, man, y'all.
No, I don't know. I don't know.
Like, is it a domination thing? Is it you know what I mean? I mean, what kicks in to make that disconnect?
You know, and
it would have to be it would have to be the opposite of love, like scared of love, in a certain type of aspect. You know what I'm saying? Because I just wanted to touch on the comment. Lovejoy, she said empath is innate. Like everybody has, you know, empathy.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just like the foundation would be like love. It's
and I was gonna touch on that too, because as a, you know, I've been speaking on more like the drawbacks, but narcissism has helped me do a lot of great things. You know what I'm saying? It's also, and then to kind of touch on the empathy is innate, like being able to have certain, like narcissists, we want to control the room, we want to control the space, we want to be, you know, like seen. You know what I'm saying? We want our positive qualities, you know, extremely apparent. You know what I mean? So we'll you know, basically charm a whole room, a whole situation.
Can I stop you right there though? Can I stop? Because Woon, I really, why? Like how he said, is it?
I understand.
Is it like that? You know, is it a compensation of something else? Like, you know what I mean? What does that look like when you walk in the room and it ain't all eyes on you? Like, why does it have to be all eyes on you?
Good question.
For me personally, I look at it from a sense of it doesn't have to be all eyes on me, in the sense that I need to be seen or need to be validated. It's more so personally, from my own experience, I want to control the space, because if things are outside of my control and things are, I would say, I'm very volatile. You know what I'm saying? I'm an extremely volatile person. So it doesn't take much for me to shift and, you know, kind of, you know, go off an edge. And it doesn't necessarily mean I'm blanking out and throwing shit. It's just a certain energy that I'll, you know, kind of switch into. And it's kind of like, it's on and it's off. Like I get really cold, I get really distant, I get really, you know, aloof, and I make you feel like you did something wrong, and you're sitting there like, what the fuck? What happened? Like, well, you were just chilling, you was just but then all of a sudden I'm in a whole different space, because once again, I got to control the situation because of that. And I know how volatile I am, and I don't like feeling like my day or my, you know, happy-go-lucky false sense of reality at times, that everything is okay in my world, and anything that conflicts that is a threat. You know what I mean? So if someone's sad and I'm not, then I'm like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? If someone
dropping jewels right now
is possibly, you know what I'm saying, going through some shit, and I'm trying to, you know, persevere and keep my positive attitude, you're now a threat to my reality. Everything is lit. Like that's everything's lit. Like that's the mode I get. Like, nah, bro, everything's lit. What are you talking about? Fuck is wrong with you? Like, you know what I mean? So that
That's how you protect
charm,
your
that,
energy.
oh, hey, let me do something for you. Hey, are you okay? You need something? You good? So I can, like, essentially, if there's any leaky faucet or leaky hole in the ship of this situation, I'll plug that motherfucker up because I'm gonna kill the whole crew before the ship sinks. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll murder everybody in this bitch before I let this ship sink, and
Damn.
I'm departing.
And I'm dying.
I'll
with
do
you.
y'all
I
right.
want to get on the ship with you, bruh.
Hey, man, and a lot of people say that. I don't blame them. I don't blame them. Feel me? But if
But
you
you know
do
what? I
survive
mean,
and it
it
does
sounds
work,
like that,
we're
that's
going to
your way
paradise.
of
I promise
protecting
you.
your energy and protecting your own peace. But at the same time, it's demolishing and destructing every
Yeah, he
fucking
right.
body else
Same
around
time.
you,
Yep.
being able to
Right.
protect your peace.
Yep.
Hey, you
see,
guys, I hate to interrupt, but I'm going to tap out. I wanted to say thank you to everybody. And thank you especially to Lala. And I didn't get your name. I'm sorry. What was it?
The C. The C,
Oh,
oh
okay.
God, all of the above. Mr. Neighborhood, man of many
Okay.
names.
Okay, I'm Alzea, and I just wanted to thank you both, because Lala, like being a fellow empath, it was really insightful to hear a lot of what you had to say, and then from you, thank you for shedding light on things I now need to take like accountability for, like within my own self. So, and then Woon, thank you for inviting me on. I really appreciate it. And Selfmade, it was nice to meet you. Please don't be
nice
mad at
meeting
me
you
about
too.
the August Leo comment. I still
Nah,
love y'all.
you good.
Thank you,
I get it
ma'am.
all the
Thank you so
time.
much.
You
God
guys
bless
have
you.
a good night.
You too.
Good night.
Appreciate it.
well, we appreciate you for joining.
Yeah, shout out to her, first time sliding through.
Alizé.
Yeah, love the energy, man. Like we need some more of that for sure.
No, I had to pull up on this, man. Like, I just was spared a moment, and I was like, oh, okay, let me get up in this. Dang, man, niggas' heart was beating hella fast. I'm like,
Appreciate
I'm
you
nervous.
sliding
Oh,
through
it sounds
too.
silly.
But
Nah,
you know what?
you came
brought
in
different
perfect timing.
perspective in, and you brought a perspective in with an open mind and the willingness to,
to be honest.
to be open and be
Yeah.
honest. And that's what we need, because we can't walk in those shoes. That's why we're, having these discussions, or, trying to get that open perspective. So I truly appreciate it. If nothing else, I'm always willing to learn about self, you know what I mean? And you did, bring that light to where one can start to evaluate self and, make some adjustments and changes as needed. So definitely appreciate it. I
Absolutely.
do have a question though, with your wife being an empath, and what does that look like in your day-to-day like routine? Are you guys constantly hitting each other's reset buttons?
Well, actually, it's been a definitely great work in progress. Also, I kind of felt like the type of empath and the mode of expression that my wife is, she's an empath, but then also I would say she has a filter of what I like to say is her being on the autism spectrum and being someone that experiences Asperger's, which is just a filter, I would say, of reality. So it was imperative for me to really, narrow down my communication skills, so that way, I wouldn't have to hit the reset button. I wouldn't have to, kind of, buzz ourselves out of these situations.
I like this nigga right here. My bad. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. And really being able to, because like I said, she's someone that, has experienced her own journey, experienced her own traumas, and has, experienced life to get herself to a point where she understood who she was and how, the way of the empath specifically affected her, and as well as someone experiencing autism, symptoms, that it was imperative for her to understand what it is that she was processing, because she has, I would say, a high sensatory rate on, a physical level, an energetic level, and a spiritual level. She's a very sensitive person. So that being said, she created herself, guidelines and a language and a rule book in order for her to help herself, function in day-to-day society. And she essentially opened that book up to me and helped me, figure out my way, and was, like I said, extremely accommodating and understanding, and, someone that specifically her way of experiencing autism, which also, you know, if I've been in groups, they also experience this similarly, is that they have issues with transition time. So, and, you know, getting from one point as far as, okay, this is what we're doing now, and then we're shifting to this. So she was able to, with all of that, still be flexible enough to, you know, bring me along and, you know, really kind of show me the way with being able to cope day to day, you know, with her, and not cope, but being able to function and task, you know. And for, you know, for me, it was like a crash course, you know what I'm saying? It was trial by fire, you know what I mean? Because we had a lot of bumps, and we had some, you know, slip ups, and, you know, really it was an extreme course, because not only her being an empath, her being a sensitive, her being a psychic, her also experiencing autistic, you know, all of that, it was imperative that if I wanted to be in a relationship with this woman,
you had to get
that I needed to figure it the fuck out.
Yeah, you know, she got you to that
Hey,
point.
that was
like,
nasty.
Yeah, you know, the same ship scenario. Like, nigga, I'll murder everybody on this ship. Like, you getting on or you getting off?
Exactly, bro.
And we have so many analogies about the bus, and you know what I mean. So our day to day through time, and but the thing is though, when I was in alignment, I mean, a lot of the shit that I did in a narcissistic manner, it worked, because we were, and I was in alignment with the common goal, which was us building a union together, and us building a legacy together. But when I'm out of alignment with that, then all the same characteristics of my narcissistic personality become a detriment. You know what I'm saying? And same thing with the empath, and vice versa. So when we're in alignment, the shit was great. You know what I mean? But when we are out of alignment for whatever reason, whatever degree, just to bring that contrast, you know what I'm saying? Then it was just a means for us to just retool and reset, like you said, in the original point. You know what I mean? Recalibrate, and then get to the next level. You know what I mean? So it was, and we're just now, you know, like I said, with welcoming our second child, we're you know, we're getting to I would say a more optimistic side of state. But for a long time, it was dark. You know what I mean? And I was going through the shadow chamber, you know, figuring out a lot of things about myself. One being that I might be a narcissist. There's a high probability that I can be, and just that day to day. Once again, me wanting to control my environment, her being an empath, and her, you know, feeling moods, and, you know, being in states where, like I said, if it challenged my reality of shit is lit, I would, you know, once again see her as a threat. Like, why are you sad? What is going on? Why you need to hurry up and get over this? And I'm trying to Am I not doing my part? Am I not making you happy? Or is this not work? You know what I mean? And I would fucking wig out when she's just like, bruh, nigga, I stepped on a ladybug and I'm fucking sad right now. Like, chill out. You know what I mean? Like, give me a fucking break. You know, I'm going through something right now. And no matter how big or small, I feel shit a little more deeply than you. And then I'll get salty. Like, what you mean, nigga? I'll be sad when I kill ladybugs too. What the fuck are you talking about? I cry when puppies get hurt and cats get saved. What do you mean? I love nature. She'd be like, yeah, I know, but nah, bro. You know what I'm saying? It ain't like this, you know. And then I'll be like, whatever, this shit is corny. And then I ain't fucking tripping the fuck out.
You know, going back to just an old childhood movie, you know what I mean? One that always resonated with me, and one of my favorite Disney movies ever is Beauty and the Beast, but it always reminds me of the narcissist and the empath, you know what I mean? And if you just dig a little bit deeper, that's, you know, that's what it looks like to me. And that's the relationship that I see in here. Fortunately, you know, you guys were able to make that work, but it's really, it takes a lot of fucking work. Like, and I got exhausted in mine. I'm not even gonna lie, you know, and I to be honest, I threw in the towel. Like, man, I can't do this shit no more. It's draining me. I don't have time for it. And I just can't. You have no regard to anybody's feelings but your own. As an empath, and I don't know if, you know, the narcissist experiences this, but the number one question that I hate getting asked is, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, it don't work.
Everything.
Literally everything.
But I will, and not to interject, but I will say, back to certain like positive experiences with that is that sometimes when the empath is in a state where, you know, the protections weren't necessarily up, and you know they allow some shit that wasn't supposed to come in get in, that I will, you know, I'll call it the in parentheses or quotes, it's lit mentality of just like, nah, fuck that, bro, it's lit, don't worry, like come on, let's go, like, you know what I mean. It can really do some, you know, like pulling them out the mud in a sense. Like, come on, like I got enough overbearing positivity right now to
bring that shit,
to get you out of this. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
hell
And it's
yeah.
not like,
Hell
oh,
yeah.
I'm saving you. And sometimes the narcissistic hero complex, because I have a hero complex, I do feel like, nigga, I'm the journeyman. I'm finna save the world, jump into the burning building. Aha! You know what I mean?
Right.
Type shit. And sometimes it can work because I will do something and put myself in a volatile or, you know, low vibrational state to be able to transmute it and pull someone out of that. You know what I mean? And I've done that with my narcissistic. I would walk up to strangers and feel like, hey, what's up? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Everything's all right. I've literally, you know, stop people from killing themselves. You know what I mean? I was just talking to a random dude at the bus stop, and I just, you know, struck up a conversation. I mean, it was God really that was moving through me, but using my strengths and my, you know, my characteristics to channel that. So I would, you know, man was basically getting ready to, you know, jump off the highest building downtown. And, you know, without me having that high sense of like, bro, it's going to be okay. You know, this was years ago. I was like in high school, but just having experiences where that overbearing positive attitude that no, bro, it's okay, fuck that shit, like just, you know what I mean, can in certain moments in certain spaces be exactly what particularly or potentially an empath can, you know, let alone any human being, but specifically empaths that have the high dependency of or not dependency, propendency, anyways, of feeling those feelings in a more in-depth manner. Sometimes, you know, you got, if you down there in the deep, you can't see your way out of it. And someone that has that higher, like I said, overbearing, optimistic personality, it can balance that. And like, you know, Woon was saying, you know, pull someone through that, which I've experienced in certain times, specifically with, you know, my wife and our dynamic where it's worked, you know what I mean? And once again, the alignment, you know, thing, and that's, you know, a lot of people or a lot of things in this reality are out of alignment, and you know, it's just a part of the game. And if you can find the moments and the spaces where you jump in and out and know that it's cool, then, you know, I've experienced positive, you know, positive experiences from that. So, you know, it all is a part of the gizane, you know.
Yeah, nah, but
what is the, I'm sorry, Woon, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. Because you know, I like the way you guys are engaging, because you guys are literally the balance of what's going on. Like, you know what I mean? Especially coming from a male, self-appointed narcissist. I'm not gonna call you a narcissist because I don't feel like that.
Yeah,
but and then coming from a female empath, so you guys are having a great conversation. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna let you speak. Like, you got the floor. It's good.
What does the narcissist need? Like, what, you know what I mean? Like, what is the fuel to the narcissist? Like, what makes them happy? What makes them, you know what I mean, mad? Like, what drives?
For me, if I was to like put it, and once again, you know, from what my personal experiences, I've just got to give those disclaimers. I mean, the grandiosity, the sense of purpose, the sense of like, yo, my life is more meaningful than just living. You know what I mean? And, you know, being able to be, I guess, okay with the fact of just existing, not living up to an expectation that I created for myself at whatever point in my life. And just wanting to immerse myself into that, whether it's being the ultimate family man, or whether that's being the ultimate artist, or whether that's just being the ultimate person. It's just that feeling of grandiosity, that feeling of ultimateness, that feeling of just superiority, which challenge is the exact inverse of, you know, feeling inferior sometimes, feeling like I don't have all the things that I wish I had, or don't have all the skills or traits or personality qualities that I see would be beneficial to not only myself but other people, and feeling like I have that sense of lack within, you know, myself, and just that conflict of, okay, am I dope, or am I fucking just making this shit the fuck up and I'm garbage? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, which one is it really? Like, am I just telling myself this, or am I actually like pretty tight? You know what I mean? And I've had experiences where both were true. You know, I'm pretty fucking dope and I've been pretty fucking garbage. You know what I mean? So it all, I guess, balances out. But what I feel I need really, or what necessarily would be a great necessity for me, is just patience, and, you know, and just the space to allow me to, I guess, you know, figure it out. Because from what I've done research, and, you know, from the narcissistic, you know, way of treating it, is that there is a point where the self-awareness comes in and you're able to manage certain negative, you know, expressions, and put it into a, you know, transmute it to a positive manner. And it doesn't necessarily you get rid of it, but you just find it to be more self-serving for the benefit of the whole. And, you know, just through research, and just, you know, research interpersonally myself, and then actually externally reading books and shit, it just all helps, you know, me figure out just the language. And that's really all it comes down to, is the language. I mean, from mathematics to sound to, you know what I mean, ourselves, it's all a different language and a form of communication. And, you know, the narcissist has a voice too, and a specific, you know, code of conduct that if I was to follow by those guidelines, I can be successful. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's lit. Well, it's lit that you said, like, your definition of whenever an empath may be, like, you know, down in the dirt and shit, right? So, like, what are you talking about? Shit is lit, like, you know what I mean? So at that point in time, you would be that positive energy, even in a negative situation, right?
Right.
And for the empath, when you are feeling on some negative shit, they're always love anyway. So it's just like, that's their definition of it's lit. So you guys, like, the relationship, you know, when you guys allow yourselves to be the quote unquote victim or the quote unquote hero, like that relationship is so dope. If you're open enough to receive what the other person is saying, like, you know what I mean? Like, that shit is
real.
that shit is so lit.
Got
And that's what I'm saying. I love hearing you and Laura's exchange, because it's just like, you know, because she's like, yeah, you know, it's lit in a sense of, you know, just the loving part, and she's trying to figure out why you can't or receive the love. But he's like, yeah, I do, but it's just in a different way. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? So this shit, hey, this shit is crazy to me. Just listening to this shit.
It's a work in progress forever.
Hey,
yeah. You know what I mean?
How did you feel when you, like, finally realized, you know, I might have some of these narcissistic traits? I mean, were you open to it? Were you just kind of like a...
No, absolutely not. No, I was fucking like, no, I was one of the, I guess, hardest times of my life, really. I started battling, you know, mild depression, and just, I got really nihilistic. You know what I mean? Like, shit don't matter. Like, fuck it. Like, you know, it don't matter. Like, none of this shit really matters. It's all fake. I started going down that road. Like, yeah, all the perception and the shit we experience in the human realm, and nigga, the experience of self, like, it's all not real. Like, if being in the physical human sense, like, we're not tapped in to, I mean, we are tapped in, but as long as we're in this physical body, in this physical realm, there's a certain part of the gambit that we won't experience. So all of it is made up through our perception of reality and our filters of individual experience of source and the ultimate truth. You know what I'm saying? So all this shit is made up, you know? So I got there with it. And I was like, narcissism is made up, positivity is made up, ions and neurons. Somebody made all that shit up. It ain't
all the
source,
shit, huh?
it ain't pure just love, it ain't energy, it ain't just pure just the small, it ain't the just chaos of creation. If it ain't that, It fucking don't exist. It's just
Right.
null and void. So that's how I coped with me being a potential narcissist. Once I really walked to that door and stepped through it, I was like, yeah, no, this shit don't matter. And the I don't care came to that point. It went so
Right.
far into a circle
Hey,
that nigga, infinite.
When
I was like,
when
I
you
was
You know what?
like, if you could imagine someone being in the middle of an infinite point, I was there. And I was just like, fuck
Right.
it. Like, fuck it, bro. Just
when
let
you
this
get
shit
to
keep
that
spinning.
when you get to
We
that
have
level, real quick, when you get to that level of thinking, that pivotal position is crazy because it can go either way.
Yeah,
Right.
far left or
Right.
far right.
Right.
But you know what? I find it like really, really interesting that we have so many fucking similarities. Like we constantly question self. We constantly want, achievement. We're looking for success. You know what I mean? The
That's a
empath
fact.
versus the narcissist, that we're like fire and ice, but we're so fucking similar at the same time. Just hearing you speak, we're looking for those same things. It's
You know
just
that blue
we
flame?
go about finding them and getting them. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry, like blue flame. Like when fire
Mhm.
burns so hot, it feels
It's
cold.
turned, yeah, it's
Oh,
blue.
You know what I mean? Same
Exactly,
shit.
yeah.
Selfmade talk about that. So
Yeah, with the water and shit. It's just different.
Right.
It's the same shit, just two ends of the same spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fact.
You know?
No, that's interesting though. I mean, I appreciate the dialogue for sure. You kept it real and opened up and, said exactly what was on your mind. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
it does
thank
make
you.
you kind of question, it's like, yeah, I mean, are we made to coexist? Or, you know what I mean? Is that
Yes.
that balance? You know what I mean? Is it that balance?
Definitely.
But you have to find those healthy boundaries to be able to create that balance or to sustain that balance, I should say.
Yep.
Because we do have to maintain boundaries within self, as well as within our relationship and our parameters. So,
Right.
I mean, I appreciate it for sure. You did make me, kind of realize a bunch of stuff about myself and different situations that I've been in for sure.
No, thank you guys, and I appreciate y'all having me on. And I'm gonna bow out, get back to the family. I love y'all. Love yourself, bro. I love you, bro. You my G for life, man. You already know.
You already know.
I mean, Woon too. I'm glad I was being able to be in the space, and everybody that's doing, La La, Boss Yayo, my wife, everyone in the world, inshallah, bless, man, for sure.
For sure. Congrats on the baby
All right,
too.
so we appreciate
Thank
you,
you,
man.
thank you.
Till next time, man.
Peace.
Oh yeah, salute.
Yeah, that's my bro, man. Like, we was doing the low vibrational music back in the day. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how me and him connected. Through the music. And
Definitely.
so, because a lot of that stuff I ain't even know about, bro. You know what I mean? So it's like just to hear that and just to see the growth. You know what I mean? To come from that to now we making positive music and we talking about health and we talking about all these different things, you know what I mean? And releasing these traumas and shit, man, that shit beautiful. For real, for real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he brought really good energy. He brought really good vibes, you know what I mean? And, again, just to have that openness and that willingness to, you know what I mean? Defend himself, but defend himself in a way like, you know what I mean? Let me shed some light out here. Like we're not all that you see on the internet, you know what I mean?
Right.
But because we were kind of going back and forth with that this morning as well. Like, oh, they just had a fucked up childhood. Like, he didn't have a fucked up childhood. You know what I mean? So we have to be able to step outside that box and look at, why individuals are the way they are. So I definitely appreciate it. And it's a lot more dialogue than I was ever able to get out of any other narcissistic person I've ever, had to sit with, because at a certain point they're like, I don't give a fuck, they get that I don't give a fuck, none of this shit matters attitude kicks in, and they just cut the communication off. So
yeah.
And he made a good point.
I was just gonna say, oh no, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, because you probably.
I was just gonna say he had made a good point in the sense of like he said that his trauma stemmed from the positive aspect.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And so it's like when you automatically think of trauma, you instantly go to the negative aspect of like, it's trauma or something bad. You know what I mean? So that definitely just opens up the perspective to understand like too much of damn near anything
The
could be
imbalance.
bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You could be too
It's
much
not balanced.
positivity. Exactly. It's that balance.
Yeah, and see, that's what and you know, because I got to sidebar that before I say what I was about to say, because me and Laura was talking earlier, and you know, we were talking about how the empaths over love and that the narcissists under love. So you know, at some point in time, you got to find just that middle space to where it's just like, okay, I can't over love because that's gonna fuck me up, or if I under love, that's gonna fuck me up. So you just got to find that middle space. But going back to what I was about to say about him personally, he was opening up and he was sincere. So there was a lot of things that I was saying that he was saying that I was just like, okay, yeah, I know that he's being sincere with what he's talking about, and he's being as transparent as possible. And there was certain levels where I was like, yeah, not to the point where I knew what he was going to say, but I felt it, like, you know what I mean. So I'm like, yeah, this nigga kicking that shit. And again, I just from him coming on, I wouldn't even put him in a narcissist box. Like, you know what I mean? Like, not at all. But just how he was spilling it, you can tell that he came from that space. Like, you know what I mean? So hell
exactly.
But I mean, he's also done a lot of self-reflection and a lot of, you know what I mean, a lot of accepting, and you know, so he's able to be free in that space at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Rather than try to defend a shitty attitude, you know what I mean? He, you know, he put his protective shield on, and he's like, nah, you know, it comes from good. And you know, it has pure intentions, and I like the way that he, you know, vocalized that. It's not in a bad sense. You know, I can be that way, but you know what I mean? My intentions are pure, and I'm accepting of that.
That to me answered the question, because I know we talked about it, you know, in our conversation this morning. But I think we actually brought it up in this podcast to say, can the narcissist become, or at least exude some type of traits of the empath? And I think that the empath is the understanding, right?
Right.
And I think that you know, and shout out to his wife. I don't know who she is. He didn't mention her name, but I think that
for sure. Yeah, for sure.
I think that she was able to bring him to the empath side. So you know, he's is a living example of that role being reversed. Yeah, of the role being reversed.
Right. I wouldn't necessarily say reverse, though.
Not
you know
reverse,
what I mean?
not reverse, but
he's willing to explore that side. You know what I mean?
There we go.
And that's why it
there
brings me to the whole Beauty and the Beast thing. You know what I mean? Think back to Beauty and the Beast, and he was just cutthroat, and then you know, here he is ballroom dancing. You know what I mean? But I mean, it's dope that it works for them, and it's dope that, you know, there is somebody who went out there and experienced it, and they have that balance, and you know, it's working. And I mean, it was just cool. It was a blessing to have him on and to be able to hear him speak and, you know, really just drop his shit.
Real niggas take bubble baths.
It's okay. It's okay. Go ahead. Throw that little bath bomb in there.
Back there, look at him.
Hey, because I said that, and motherfuckers was like, hold on, wait. Real niggas take bubble baths. It's okay. It's right. It's okay.
I'm down with you. And what were you eating the whole time? I seen you kept eating little things.
Man, look, hey, look, I was finna cook some shit before this shit started. This self-stimulated link, and I'm like, all right.
Man, I was gonna do the same shit, bro.
I ain't trying to get no sponsorship from them, but these fucking almonds, these chocolate covered almonds, slap.
I kept seeing you eat them. I was like, what the fuck is
these motherfuckers slap.
You ain't trying to do sponsorship though?
No, because that's different.
He's gonna be having to eat them all the time.
Yeah, they through Costco and shit, but
yeah, I said Kirkland. I'm familiar with Kirkland. I'm a mom.
Exactly. But but yeah, this exchange was crazy good.
Yeah,
like I like this exchange for sure.
Yeah.
And again, shout out to the chat, because I know that there was a lot of people that was in the chat. I have to personally give a shout out to Miss Royalty. You know, she joins every week, but for whatever reason, they're not allowing her to speak in the chat. But she was bringing up like a lot of good points and shit. And in fact, she was the one who said that that we had the perfect females on there. And then when old boy came in, like, you know what I mean? So hell yeah.
Oh, I seen that. Where was that at?
Well, we're talking personally through Messenger right now. But she said for whatever reason they wouldn't allow her to come into the chat. So are you guys Facebook friends? Because that might be what it is. Because I'm blocked from being live right now, so I'm sharing your live on my page.
What?
So that's probably why they won't let her.
You said what's her name?
Miss Royalty. That comes on every week.
Yeah, I'm like.
You might be able to if you guys are friends, then you might be able to add her. Then she might be able to be in the chat. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got her?
I thought I did, but nah. I just sent a request.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. But then again, she said that wherever she was at, because I sent her the actual link because I think she wanted to get in, but she wasn't able.
Okay.
Yeah, she said wherever she was at, the browser wouldn't allow her to come in. But shout out to every.
Let me tell you about that because remember you were asking how come I don't just join from my phone? It literally, it'll spin and spin and spin. That's why I always say send me the link to my email, and that's why I jump on from my laptop because it doesn't do that. The link on my phone, it'll like when you send it through Messenger before, it told me that my browser wouldn't support it, so that's why I always just get on through my laptop.
Were you using Google Chrome?
No, Safari.
Yeah, I heard it goes through Google Chrome.
Google Chrome. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I get on my, on my laptop. I don't have an issue.
Well, yeah, right.
Definitely. But yeah, no, this bill was crazy. I know. I see Neff on the panel.
Yeah.
He told me that he was gonna get in.
I don't know if he got his sound on or if he can hear us. I'm not sure.
I sent the link out to a few different people. It's already midnight where they at, so shit.
I don't know. You know what I thought was like I don't know what happened, but I woke up and I mean I was already up, but next thing you know, here comes Woon ass, and it was just like we was on that wavelength. You know what I mean? Like this morning, he sent me something, and I was like, man, I've been reading about this recently, and we just here.
That the level of conversation that we had earlier, it kicked up so much energy within me. Again, me leaning more towards the empath side, like you know what I mean. And it was a situation to where it was just like some of the things that you were saying, I'm like, damn, like that shit is crazy, and it really makes you self-reflect, like you know what I mean. But there were so many different points that was said, and then you're naturally and I told you, I'm like, man, you didn't activated me, like you know what I mean. So as soon as that activation came through, it's just like, okay, yeah, we have to bring this to the podcast, like you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But I guess the reason that I don't know, I guess our frequency was like aligned, like but
that shit was aligned like a motherfucker.
Into different things or like doing a little bit of self research at night, before I go to sleep, and then next thing I know, here you come talking about the same topic that I was just looking at before I went to sleep. So it was just cool. Yeah. It was
But that trauma bonding, man, and I thought that's what you was talking about when you were saying there was a trauma and then a word, but the trauma bonding, and I just want to say this, now that we're live and shit, it's just like a lot of people get together unbeknownst to themselves or subconsciously knowing that that okay, this motherfucker been through some shit, I've been through some shit, so let's try to work this out. We're trying to figure out what's going on internally with self, so then you would get somebody else that's naturally fucked up. And ultimately, this is kind of like that good girl loves bad guy situation. Because not to say that girl is necessarily good, because she's well off or her parents are in a good position. That doesn't mean that she's good. So she wants to understand that bad side or the bad behavior because she may be feeling that internally. So what's the best way to learn what that is to get with a nigga that's doing some hood shit. Like, you know what I mean? So so that opposite attracts thing comes into play. And then now we're, basing our shit upon trauma, which with the bad guy would be, well, nigga, I ain't never experienced what you got going on. So nigga, how does that shit work? Like, you know what I mean? And to me, that was what you and old God's conversation was. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just that, just the exploration of either side. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
No, but it was, the dialogue, and it was basically getting that understanding. Like, hold on, I need to step into your mind now and see why you guys think the way you think. You know what I mean? What's your triggers? Like, what made you become? Because that's our focal point, is what started this shit, and how can I think like you? Because if I can think like you, you're no longer my opponent. You know what I mean? So I don't have to
Right.
worry about that now.
It was cool to see like
that was a bar.
Yeah, it was cool to see like the vulnerability too. You know what I mean? Because it like y'all was showing how y'all could have that type of conversation. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to be open and truthful about yourself to other people and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So
definitely,
just to be able to show like, yep, this is how it's done, damn near. You know what I mean? Like it's really I think it's really needed.
I appreciate it. Like I said, you know what I mean? If nothing else, I love that he was open, he was transparent, you know what I mean, with all sincerity. And he was able to he was able to defend himself without, you know what I mean, number one, getting mad, number two, being able to just stay his cause. And I haven't been able to get that kind of conversation out of a narcissist, at any whether it's friends, relationship, family, anything like that. They get defensive and they run off. And I just appreciate the fact that he held his, and it was sincere, and he really wanted to explain, and that's why our dialogue was able to go back and forth like that. So
hey, it's funny that you said like that. We had a build about this not too long ago. With my nephew and shit. And I came up with this conclusion probably like a couple years ago. How people, because people say this a lot, to where to a stranger that they will be more open than somebody that that's a family or somebody that they're familiar with. And people who you're familiar with, there's the word liar that lies within familiar and shit, right? So somebody who you're familiar with, they probably lied to you. They probably did some crazy shit to where you're no longer comfortable being that vulnerable or being that open with them and shit, right? As to where a stranger, they never cause you any anger. And anger isn't a part of stranger shit. Like, you know what I mean? So when it comes down to that, relationship wise, we look for that. But sometimes we've been through bad experiences with them, so we may not be as open. And when I say relationships, I mean family members, somebody that they got instant access to us and shit, right? So but just the stranger part of it, like, you know what I mean, is so dope, because now we have that space because there's no cutoff. So we allow ourselves to be open within that space, and you guys executed that properly. And I know I put a lot of emphasis on him being open, but you were very open with how you felt, like, you know what I mean, about the shit as well. But I probably didn't acknowledge that as much because we talk on a regular all the time, so I already know how you are, like, you know what I mean. But just for the sake of the people who are watching, they probably got a chance to recognize that as well on your behalf of being the empath and just being open and being honest about how you feel and trying to figure it out for the understanding. So you guys just now, y'all took it from Free Your Mind podcast to Free Your Spirit podcast. I'm gonna just
I'm telling you, that was a like living by example in real time. Watch, like, you know what I'm saying? We was literally watching it happen right in front of us. You know what I'm saying?
Hell
like,
that
type of conversation. So that's what was dope. Like,
that's a fact.
That shit crazy.
But I mean, another thing is too, it's one of those things. I have a tendency to fear things that I don't know or can't figure out. You know what I mean? Woon, you didn't help me through the figure out crisis thing. If I can't figure it out, I'm afraid of it. And being that he was so open, it's kind of like I have not him, but I have the blueprint to how that mind actually works now. So I don't have to fear it anymore. You know what I mean? So all in all, it's a step and a tool to help me heal from things that I've been through, throughout the process. So,
and that's what I was gonna say. To me, because I'm all about confirmation. So to me, the wrestling part is you already know who you are, but again, you're trying to figure out, you're trying to understand, like, you know what I mean? And I think that us just having somebody, like, it's kind of like getting closure from somebody in a relationship that won't give you closure.
That will give it
And
to
then
you.
and then you go to somebody else, and then they be like, "Nah, it was never you." Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like, it was what they had to deal with and all the other shit. And then you get that confirmation, like, well, goddamn it, I might be who I say that I am. Like, you know what I mean? Because we're constantly growing, we're constantly changing, we're constantly having to get to know who we are by way of situations or circumstances. So, you know, we really can never put an official stamp on who we are. But but when you come across somebody that's just as open as we are, then shit, just like we said earlier, like, you know, they are a reflection of who we are. So when they give it to you raw, then you receive it raw, and then it becomes your reality. Like, you know what I mean? So that bill was dope. I loved it.
No, I did too. You know, I appreciate it, and I knew it was going to be a good subject. You know, as soon as we started going in this morning, I knew.
Hey, Woon brought it up to me. I called him. He was like, "Hey, nah," because he was like, "I seen the little Facebook post." He was like, "But me and Lala was breaking some shit down this morning. We for sure." I'm like, "All right, let's do that then."
But you know what though? There's so many people, and you know, we're starting in just in this perspective, you know, just like you said, Selfmade, we're hearing the term empath, we're hearing the term narcissist so frequently now, but a lot of people don't know what they are, you know what I mean? So even the people in the audience, you know, who were able to see, you know, this welcoming, safe space environment debate of, you know, let me get into your mind versus yours, you know, now they're able to put a word and associate it with a behavior or a pattern, or, you know, even themselves. And I think that's the best form of education, is being able to associate and receive and, you know, adapt. So I think it was, you know, it was dope all the way around. So
yeah, so yeah, we could put this one in the books, B. This shit was beautiful. Both sides, again, I would associate myself on both. I love y'all, but fuck y'all, and I don't give a fuck who knows.
That's that balance right there, huh?
Yeah,
that's that balance. Love and hate everybody.
Right. No, that's that Gemini arrogant bullshit right there.
Yeah, I knew the Gemini. They got something about them. Look, there we go.
You know what? Geminis are some cool people though, but you know, even what they were saying with Aries and shit, every Aries I've met, I have got along with like very well. I don't know, maybe they just mix with our sign, but I don't know. Like, I guess people are saying they're stubborn or, you know, whatever else. I've always got along with them.
Yeah, because y'all total opposite. Because Aries, they just like God was saying, like, nigga, I didn't give a fuck about that shit. And what are you crying for? Like, you know what I mean? So it gives you that level of, why the fuck am I crying? Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, that's that fire. I got that fire energy, but I don't know.
Oh, somebody asked I'm sorry, Miss. She asked, "Are you a Leo?"
Who?
Me?
No, yeah, she's definitely a Cancer.
Oh yeah. I'm
Hey, what do you know? Do you dig into like the moon sign and shit? Do you?
The houses and the
no, I didn't get into all that yet, and I do want to, but no, I mean, I'm a 720 Cancer, so you know, I'm almost at that Leo stage, but I'm Cancer all day.
There we go.
All characteristics of Cancer. The crybaby, the moody, you know what I mean, the lever. I'm Cancer all day long.
Okay. What was you about to say, Sel?
No, I was just gonna say the fire sign, like, you know, we for surely got, like, you know what I'm saying, I don't give a fuck type mentality. I know
that's a fact. That's a fact.
You know what I'm saying? But as far as Leos, you know what I'm saying, like, we love hard, you know what I mean, like, and we real loyal when it comes to like really being open and you know, honest. Like, once you get a Leo, it's like they rocking.
That's a fact.
You know,
Aries,
I'm not too sure about on that aspect, but
no, but you know, one thing that I have noticed about Aries is that they're gonna lift you, you know, enough to get you out of that weird space, you know, and that's all Aries that I've ever met. You know, they're gonna pull you out of that weird space. they might ghost your ass afterwards. They're gonna pull you out of that space. But my mom was a Leo, you know what I mean? And my mom was very blunt, very vocal. She was my biggest cheerleader and she was my biggest critic. So, you know what I mean? She was just that blunt, that straightforward, and that real. And
that was straightforward,
you gotta have a Leo friend, man. At least one.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like
Facts.
a lot of my closest friends was Leos, and you know, it's just like again the fire sign. So it's like, oh, them niggas over there starting a fire, nigga. I'm in the air. I'm gonna spread all that shit. Like, you know what I mean? Go get that shit lit. Like, if we gonna get it lit, hell yeah, let's get this shit lit. So,
right.
But I don't know. I think that a lot of times, even what you just now said, Self, like, you know, that y'all love hard. So again, you know, that's still characteristics of a fucking empath. Like, you know, at the end of the day.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and I think that's where the balance comes into play with the Leo aspect, because we also have that we don't give a fuck understanding too. Like, so if we feel like oh yeah, person ain't being truthful, or you know what I'm saying, then it's like, yep, fuck you, I don't care, like, you know what I'm saying, that shit don't matter. And so we can easily, I guess, fall on both sides of the spectrum, but usually I will say, you know, with dealing with certain Leos, they're gonna fall on one side of the spectrum. They're not gonna sit in the middle and kind of be able to balance both of them things out.
Right. Yeah, because it's just like, you know, like again, like my older brother, like, you know, he's Aries and shit, and it was so true to what old God was saying. Like, it'll be a situation to where it's just like, you know, he may not, you know, be on some, he may be on some fucking nigga shit, but at the end of the day, a situation may transpire, then he slide up like, nigga, what was popping? And he be like, oh, okay, like, you know what I mean? So so it's just that type of energy, like, you know what I mean? And that's the honest truth about it. And then also, I noticed in relationships with Aries and they females and shit, they love hard and shit too. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just that it really is that journey itself. You know what I mean? Because as a Leo, like, just shit growing up, you know, like, yeah, you want to be in the spotlight. Always wanted to be in the spotlight. You know, star the show type. You know what I mean? Like that's
my mama Leo too.
You know, constantly want to be the best player on the basketball team, and you know what I mean? Like, and it can be a good thing because now you're striving to, you know, do better.
Yeah.
But then it's like it can come off also in a certain way to other people depending on how you do it.
That nigga cocky.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But just working on self, if you really are open to, and you can recognize those certain traits about yourself, then you could, you know what I mean, flop that and get that understanding that you need, you know what I mean, about both sides, so that you can kind of operate in both when you need to.
Definitely.
Right. I know, you know, they say the Cancer is the most intuitive of, you know, all signs. And I know I kind of laugh and joke about it now, but, you know, I've always felt like that since I was a child, you know, that I'm more in touch with things than, you know, the typical child who was around me was. And I make these little jokes, but I would message my mom. You guys know my mom passed away, but I would, you know, message her like, hey, Mom, was I weird when I was little? And she'd message me right back and be like, you're still fucking weird now. but you know what I mean? Just, you know, we have that. We're intuitive. You know, we don't let people in. But when we do, it's, you know, we're rocking forever at that point.
Yeah. And I'm glad that Self said that.
Yeah.
I'm glad that Self said that too, because when he said it, I felt it. And it's just like, you know, especially with me, like if I see just like, you know, I'm an empath, just like I said, by nature. So just by me hearing God talk earlier, I'm like, oh yeah, man, that nigga would have to be, look, he would chime in when I speak him up, right? But it's just by hearing him speak, like that nigga would, I'm an empath, so he would be able to lock me in just by the vibrations that he's giving off.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Just by hearing him and just by listening to this nigga, I'm like, okay, I would fuck with this nigga because I know that he's being true to himself,
right,
and he's being honest. So I would naturally fuck with him. as opposed to with somebody that got on a mask or a facade. It's just like, all right, my nigga, it's gonna be a little bit for me to just fuck with you like that. You see what I'm trying to say?
Right.
And the thing is, you protect your circle and you protect your, the energy that you give out as well as let in. You know what I mean? Because everybody's energy ain't meant to penetrate you.
Right.
Yeah, that's a fact. That is a fact.
Well, I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. Thank you for having me on. And I am out. I have stuff I gotta do. Won't quit eating them almonds like that. And
I'm gonna
need some food. He over there snapping.
Yeah, hell yeah.
All right.
you got all the snacks.
Uh,
Great, you guys. I love you. Thank you for having me. And it really was good. It was insightful.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah.
Definitely.
Till next time.
It's all love.
Yo.
Man,
yeah, that was powerful. That was crazy.
Was one of them ones. Yeah, definitely.
Hey, and they like it was straight to the point. Like it just like how it flowed and just we it felt like we covered every aspect of it.
Definitely.
Damn near got to see a live in person build between the two. You know what I mean? Like that shit was dope.
That shit was like the fucking Godzilla and King Kong and shit. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's like the Clash of the Titans type shit to where it's just like, hey, we got because we set up the battleground, so it's just like, okay, well, let's get this shit popping.
Hey, nah, that shit was lit.
Yeah,
that shit really was lit. We got to run more topics, alongside of this one.
Definitely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, just to have that, just like you said, like when, because I was because the way she presented it and the way that we was going in, it was just like, yeah, we gotta run this one, like, you know what I mean? Like, it was. As soon as it got opened up, then it was just like, yeah,
exactly. That part. Once it really opens up, it's like, yep, let's figure this shit out.
But yeah, shout out to Oh God, man. For coming in how he did, like, you know what I mean?
Brought hella clarity and just that opposite side, you know what I mean? It's like
definitely
getting the firsthand information. And like you said, he was open to it. So, you know what I mean? Like, no holding back or nothing like that. We was able to get the full picture. And then Lala came in with that other aspect, you know what I mean? So we was able to get that aspect to see how they can intertwine, how they can start to work together. And that was the dope aspect because now it's like, for the people that watch, if they dealing with something like that, self-wise or in a relationship, you know what I mean? Like, just to see that, it's like, okay, maybe I got something to go off of as far as like how to work on myself and my relationship and shit.
Definitely. Yeah, because I seen Ambika, she said something like, she was dealing with a narcissist as an empath, like, you know what I mean?
Right,
right. Again, just like you said, we got it was like the first hand on how that shit works. Like, you know what I mean? So again, man, it was just a beautiful build. I loved it. I learned a lot of shit, you know what I mean? Just by listening and tapping in and feeling the vibration, feeling the energy. So hell yeah.
Yeah.
That shit was lit.
Shout out to the chat one more time for everybody that chimed in.
We had Jesus in the building. Jesus in the building.
I seen her. We got a topic for next week?
That is a great question. Hey, because them private bills be
I know they be just popping up.
They bring out public chats and shit, so the private bills be lit.
Yeah, no, that's real. We can see what pops off, you know what I'm saying, and just let the people know, you know what I mean.
And see, my bad, because I'm reading God's message. He said the Leo having an empathic awareness and still not giving a fuck can be either even colder at times as an Aries, my personal experience. And he said we really don't be knowing. We're like babies first in the zodiac, and that's real important. That's real important.
Yeah.
Then he said his wife being a Scorpio projected, so his wife is, a water sign and shit as well. Like, you know what I mean? So that shit is crazy. That shit is fucking crazy.
He said manage that. Oh, how to manage that? Right.
Yeah. So
that's real.
but yeah, I don't know. Like the shit was lit. For the next week, damn, there's it's gonna hit us like probably.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
is just chime in throughout the week because we be posting certain stuff on Facebook and starting certain stuff. So it's just like you said, the behind the scenes type builds, the Facebook posts, the stories, like we start creating certain topics.
Exactly.
They start just coming up. So
Then
I'm with that. Yeah, we'll probably just let them know.
Yeah, because we ultimately, just let the people decide, and then
Right.
and there's been so many different people that give us that, that admiration from that standpoint, and just giving them the opportunity or the space to, get their shit off when it comes down to specific situations. So, hell yeah, whatever the people want to talk about is Gucci.
Yeah.
But before we close out, I have to drop shameless shit because this is our shit.
Go ahead.
The video that I got coming it's called Gotta Have a Drip, and this shit it's on some lit shit.
Yeah, that shit was looking mighty lit.
That shit, hey, it's gonna be on some lit shit. I was popping my shit on that motherfucker, so people might think I'm a narcissist when they see the video, or
so
when they hear the lyrics.
Disclaimer, then this is the disclaimer.
Yeah, this is it right here. Yeah, but it was because people also know that I'm doing a children's book and shit as well. But when it comes to the music side, yeah, on this I'm popping my shit. I ain't gonna hold niggas like I'm gonna give y'all the children's book to where it's going some cool.
That's the
I'm
balance.
popping my shit, yeah.
That's the balance.
But I'm thinking I'm gonna drop that.
It's already ready?
No. I'm just saying. I'm saying.
Like, damn, nigga.
Because you know how Emo. Yeah, Emo probably got some work before he take down on my shit. But I'm assuming that it should be ready within like a couple weeks because that's like standard. You know what I mean? So if it's ready before if it's ready in 2 weeks, I'm gonna drop that shit in every season, which would be March 21st. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna drop it on March 21st for sure.
Yeah.
So be looking out for that. I'm trying to. I think more than likely I'm gonna drop the actual song on all platforms when the video drop. So just be looking out for that. Gotta Have a Drip, Woon. I might drop that on both my YouTube pages, like, you know what I mean? But other than that, every fucking music platform is gonna be there. Video is gonna be there. The download is gonna be there, or however people want to tap in.
I'm looking forward to that, man. It's been a minute since you dropped.
Hey, that's a fact.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, Woon dropping it. Let's see what's popping. That shit did look hella lit though.
Yeah, I think the funny thing about it is because we be in so many different bags that people forget that I also rap and make music and shit too. Yeah. So and I was just getting feedback from the people, because I was just being in the studio because I went to Skylit Studios twice. The first time to record, the second time to clean it up. And so when I was talking to the engineers, I'm like, when I say my shit, I'm like, how y'all feeling out there? Man, basically saying like what y'all think about the delivery, like, you know what I'm saying, like the clarity and shit. And so they was like, yeah, it's Gucci. So the second time there was a lot of females that was in the building and shit. And they was like, oh, that shit's like, and I wasn't really just talking to them. I was talking to the engineer, but they can hear the song. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? So they was like, yeah, that shit's slap. And I was like, all right, yeah. So because I don't know them, like, you know what I mean? So they so they gave me outside kind of like that confirmation, yeah. But and I dropped a couple bars in there, a couple punches and shit. And I was like, just talk about my car. I was like, I said Lamborghini Doze, but it's still a bet. I got that drip hole, even my silhouette. So niggas was hitting me on just that line alone. Like, hold on, nigga, you just now said what?
Right.
I'm like, I'm popping my shit just a little bit. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's heat.
But
silhouette.
Silhouette. Like, you know what I mean? Like, nigga, even if I'm not there, my shit popping and the wet, because it's called drip. It's about being wet. So, then open up my closet, see a waterfall. Like, so I'm just popping my shit. Like, ultimately, like, you know what I mean. But hell yeah, March 21st. If it's there to be presented on March 21st, that's when I'm gonna drop it. Like, you know what I mean. So be on the lookout for that. As well. Well, we get back to the book later, but the book gonna drop. I plan on dropping that shit this month too.
Yeah, I need me a copy for sure.
Definitely. So I'm working right now. I'm in my bag and shit. So just trying to work.
Hell yeah, that's what it's about. That's what it's about. Hey man, dope show.
Yeah.
Yeah, this shit was powerful for sure. Shout out to the chat one more time for chiming in and rocking with us. Give us a like, subscribe, and share if you're on Facebook, YouTube. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
If you think that the information was
worthy enough,
you know what I mean? But yeah, man.
Yeah, it's crazy because I think in a certain sense we might be, I don't want to say ahead of our time, but we might have a platform that people ain't like. They're gonna be like, oh,
when it comes to the topics, when it comes to the topics, I definitely agree. Like they, I mean, they're very precise. You know what I mean? And like just how I don't know, like you see other platforms that have topics, but it just seems very like kind of broad. You know what I mean? Or it's about like Black history, and I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it's dealing with certain aspects of the mind and bringing both sides into the picture on a healthy platform. Like there's just so many different things, brother. Hey, top on the West Coast. That's what we say, right? Best on the West Coast. You know what I'm saying? Free Your Mind podcast.
And that's at the least, because we can incorporate that shit to the East. Like, man, you know what I mean? So we could be the best of the West.
We got the Phil Valentines or the Brother Panics. We ain't even got them on the platform yet. You know what I'm saying?
They better be ready for us.
Yo.
That's all.
Hey, because we coming with that shit. We coming with that shit.
Yeah, but nah. Hey, the people love it. I'm gonna just say that. I've been getting so much feedback. Hey, like what y'all doing right now is crazy.
Yeah.
So again, like you know what I mean. So the shit it's gonna bloom how it's gonna bloom. But again, shout out to the chat. Shout out to everybody who tapped in. I can't go live right now. Facebook got me in handcuffs still. But hopefully, hopefully they release a nigga. Like, you know what I mean? I ain't do shit, Facebook.
I got some money in your books. You know what I'm saying? You could buy a little, buy something back there.
But yeah, all in all, empath versus the narcissist, they both go hand in hand at the end of the day. But we just gotta recognize what our position is on that scale if we're gonna put ourselves on a scale. Because I know you mentioned it earlier. Sometimes we don't even associate our energy with those titles, right?
Right.
But ultimately, they can both be toxic. But the first thing to do, just like you were saying earlier, is to find out if you put yourself in that position, where you're at, understand it, and then hopefully find somebody that's willing to go through that battle with you to help you come up out of it and see the opposite side of what you are.
Mm-hmm. Perfect conclusion. You know what I mean? But if you missed it, rewatch it because it was definitely it was bars. It's cold. It's cold.
Definitely. But
not. Hit him with it.
Yeah, that's it. We out.
Peace, y'all.
Peace.
Always going up, you can't take from us. We ain't slowing up. Look what life gave us. Always going up. You can't take from us. We ain't slowing up. Look what life gave us.